All right, so welcome to the Nonke podcast. Today we have a very special guest. You know what I didn't realize? Yeah, you're a big dude, man. You're a huge dude. Like my first time seeing you, like and walking up to you, I just kept
Yeah, you're pretty
my
tough.
head
Yeah,
my head
for
just
most-
kept turning upwards
I
and
mean,
upwards,
most-
and I was like, wow, like you're an anomaly
Oh,
in our
thank you.
community.
my
But yes,
average is like
welcome.
5'7", so.
We have Chef Vang with us in the studio. So, yeah, like we said earlier, it's pretty informal. We just like to shoot the shit, man. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Man,
thank you,
Dude,
sir.
thanks
This
for
is a
having me,
huge deal
man.
for us.
This is I seen of listening to you guys. I seen you guys with a lot of guests. So I was like, oh man, to make it there, that would.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm serious,
Yeah.
man. You guys.
Oh
Have the
yeah, we
coolest
were
people
thinking
in
the
there.
same thing. Hey, if we get this guy here, we've made it.
Yeah,
Whatever.
We
Yeah,
can
whatever.
stop. We can stop now. We were just talking.
We're good. We reached our pinnacle.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, we're just really happy that you swung by on a weekend to come do this with us and just talk a little bit just about anything and everything. Like you said, we're not super formal about it. We like to just pretty much make it an organic conversation. We find that those are always more fun, and they tend to be a lot more honest too. So we always like that. So
Yeah. I feel like before we even got on, we just like went right. Even before like, we turned on anything to hit record.
Yeah.
We've just
Well,
been talking for the last 15 minutes.
I always tell too this, like we should always be recording because we always have the best conversations with our guests before we turn anything on. Especially for me, like once the lights turn on, you know, I get a little weirded out. I get a little spooked out. So then, like, we should always just be recording because we have the best conversations with our guests, like before we even start.
Yeah.
And like sometimes we kind of we miss a lot of that.
Yeah, so it's for our podcast, Monglish. What I really learned is when we have T was on there, and so what we've really learned is we have these. Some people that aren't used to this yet, like they're like super nervous, right? Because you're right. Once you put the mic on, you put the headphones on, you're like, oh my gosh, what did I say, right?
Yeah.
And what we learned with our producer Matt, he just hits record right away. So he starts it out with like testing, like, okay, just tell me what you had for breakfast, and just to test the sound, and he does the sound check. Then he just hits record, and then we'll just like. And I kind of know his style of doing that.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, dude, like, what'd you do today? What's going on?
Yeah.
And once you get that rhythm going, then you start telling stories and stuff like that. And then suddenly he's like, okay, cool, we can start now. And then he always uses that little like intro clip as like the intro, like that little like just kind of BSing around clip. And it's like so cool. He does it. Yeah.
Because that's like the best part, man. Like just to be like introductions and then also just shooting the shit. Like anytime I have to introduce the pod, I'm like automatically some gear turns in my head.
it makes it
and I
seem
get
like you're going to like more formal mode. When
then I get
you make the
weirded
introductions, when
out.
You're just talking.
My voice changes a little bit. I put on the white man's voice.
Mika voice.
Yeah.
People-
Your radio
my white
personality
voice.
voice.
Yeah.
My cousin says that,
Yeah.
like, oh, you have a Mika voice. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You have to, man. Come on. You know, we have to play the game, right?
Yeah.
Especially like coming. I have a corporate background, right? I went to school, got like a formal job, worked in an office, suit and tie and stuff like that. And so you have to develop this voice, right? And like you have to kind of play the game a little bit, right? And so like, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like you do that for long enough, and there's like like you don't feel genuine in that. And I think that was my biggest struggle. Like when I was in that world where I was like, all right, I gotta throw on a suit and tie. This isn't really me, but I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna go in there, change my voice. Maybe speak a lot less Hmong, not speak any Hmong at all, and clean up my
Accent.
Exactly.
Enunciate more.
Exactly. And so you do that long enough, and you just feel inauthentic, and I think that was where I was at, and that's why I had to leave my job and just find something else out.
But did you really love your job though?
You know what?
Or were you trying to go do something you really
what
liked?
I thought I was supposed to do.
Okay.
It was what I thought I was supposed to do because we grew up with this idea where it's like of what success is. You go to school, right? You go to college. You work for a job, where in an office, and you bring home the paycheck, right? And so I lived my whole life like anticipating this thing, and then when I got there, I was just like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like, I don't want to stare at this computer screen all day. I don't want to talk to you guys. I don't want to sit in this meeting. I don't want to run this thing. like this is kind of silly. Like, let me get out of this. And then that's when I started kind of like planning my escape plan, I guess you can call it. And then now I'm on a farm.
that's
Lost
a good
my
thing.
shit, lost my mind, and then I ran away into the woods and started my farm.
Wow,
But-
since you're happy there. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're from
Wisconsin.
yeah. Tell us
Yeah.
where you're from. You're
Yeah.
small town Wisconsin.
Small town Wisconsin. Yeah. We
Yeah.
grew up in a little town called Port Edwards, Wisconsin. You know, so it's like
Population of
18,000
Okay.
or sorry 1800.
Yeah.
1800.
yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But it was like all these
Yeah.
little back in the day, like in the 20s, it was like a booming place.
Oh,
where
really?
Because it was right
what
on
kind
the
of
river.
industry?
Paper
Oh,
mill,
oh,
logging.
Wow.
It was a
yeah.
logging industry. Yeah, there's like 3 paper mills right on there on the Wisconsin River. So the Wisconsin River then connected to the Mississippi, and so they put all the stuff on the boats, and then they take it down to the Mississippi, and they would go down south.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it's a logging town, and but after a while, like it,
What's the river that flows through right there?
the Wisconsin River.
Oh, the
Oh,
Wisconsin
wow.
through
River.
there.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that joins into the Mississippi, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so it's
I'm
just
not geography.
no. It's so it's a little town there. It's right by Wisconsin Rapids. It's 30 minutes south of Stevens Point, Wisconsin. You know,
Is there a booming Hmong community there, or?
Or
I don't-
dying, booming or dying.
I think it's dying. Like
Okay.
because it's like to be honest, like you can either live there or you can move up to the cities.
Yeah.
And then if you want to do whatever, like how you are, bro. Like
Yeah.
30 minutes out, you're good.
Yeah.
But then you're still 30 minutes from all your people, right?
Right. Yep.
So, or you could just be like the only Hmong family
Yeah.
in like 150-mile radius.
Yeah.
You know, so
Is that how it was like for you growing up?
Yeah.
Were you like
Yeah,
just
man.
like the only?
yeah, dude. Like I'm totally gonna get so much flack for saying this, but I'll be very, very honest. Like
Yeah.
people, like I'm a single dude, so like people have always been like, "Oh, we've never seen you date a Hmong girl," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, you have to understand where I grew up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
all the Hmong girls there were my cousins."
Yeah.
Or like the girls or the women that the girls that were at church with us, so they're basically
Yeah,
cousins. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Yeah. You
And
grew
so-
up with them. You
and
know,
it was
know the whole
just
family.
small. Yeah, it's just like maybe I don't know, like 75 of us total. Like
Yeah.
so it was just like, but like if you come up to the metro here, it's completely different,
Right.
right?
Yep.
And so like my buddies make fun of me for that sometimes. Like you never dated a Hmong girl. I'm like, dude, it's not like I didn't like want. It's just like how we grew up. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
So I get so much crap for that sometimes, and I'm like, yeah, it's just how we grew up. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
your product and your environment. We've talked about this before, but yeah, I grew up in France.
Yep.
There's like barely any Hmong people there. So, I mean, I'm married to a Hmong. I get a Hmong wife now, but
Yeah.
but even my cousins who are still in France, it's like, well, it's not really that they cannot find a Hmong. Well, it is that they cannot find a Hmong girl
Yeah.
because there is no viable option that
Yeah.
is Hmong. So.
And it's not that conscious decision. It's like no, like
No, right,
I don't.
exactly.
I'm like
There's
I'm
just
not
no
trying
option,
To,
yeah.
yeah,
Right.
and that's like one of the things where I'm like, Frank, how do I explain this? Like
Yeah.
and they're all like, oh, you're like race trader, and I'm like, dude, just
Yeah.
chill, man.
You'd have to grow up somewhere other than that to kind of
Yeah.
either be very open-minded and understand the concept, or have lived yourself somewhere
Yeah.
small where there's no other Hmong people too.
And a lot of
to really
times
get
it's I always get crap from like people who grew up in like the metro here.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
like, dude,
which
it's
is-
different. Man. There's 75,000 Hmong people here, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had like the Hmong family, like my cousins and them. There was like 25 of us. Like, and that's
Yeah.
it. Like for sure.
But Hmong Facebook,
yeah, it's a real
dude,
thing, right?
that is
You guys
the
know that's a real
worst.
thing. You know it's a real thing.
That
Is that
is-
an
oh,
actual,
yeah. Oh,
is that
for
an
sure.
actual page, or is that just like, is that a term for just another Facebook that just Hmong people?
So I call it. So this is how I define it, man.
Yeah.
I call it Hmong Facebook because it's like in our world, you can't run away from anything, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something will be exposed, or not exposed, but something will come up, right?
Yeah.
So like there's all these different sites,
Yeah.
all these different Hmong, led groups.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then if like somebody sees something, it's all like they share it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I always just say Hmong people, I love our people. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
We're always like 5 to 10 years behind,
Yeah.
like, what's going on in the main culture,
Mm-hmm.
So like Facebook's huge. Like our parents are getting into Facebook,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about?
Yeah.
So it's just like it's their form of communication, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's always like something will come up. And I jokingly call it Hmong Facebook because it's like it's like this like umbrella name. I put it on there.
Yeah.
But like,
Similar to Black Twitter. Yeah.
like Black
Yep.
Twitter, you
Yep.
know, like there's no actual Black Twitter, but
Right,
it's just
right.
like, like all like for Hmong Facebook, like all the Hmong people, especially like the aunties and the uncles, like they're always on it.
Always
and so
on
they'll see something, or like just even different like groups, like even our restaurant has been put on blast on different things, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just like, man, it's vicious.
Dude, yeah. How do you deal with that? Like, that's like my biggest concern doing the pod, like opening my own business is like, it's already scary enough to like put yourself out there.
Yeah.
But like, damn, to have people like shit on you, like, like how do you deal with that? Like, cause do you get a lot of that or?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like we get it all the time. You know, and this is one thing I learned this from a mentor. He said, he goes, we were in his office talking, and there was this picture on his wall, and there was this painting, and he goes, hey, look at this painting. And I'm like, okay. He goes, what do you feel? What do you see? And I kind of just rattle some stuff off, and it was like this sunflower, and I'm like, I see, I see light, I see, the spring, I see change, it's beautiful, like, blah, blah, blah. And I started saying this thing, he goes, great. Do you think that the artist intended it that way?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. He goes, yeah. So when he goes, exactly my point, he goes, when you put something out, right? When you create something, you put it out, the moment you put it out, the moment it leaves your brain, the moment it stops being this creative idea, and it actually goes out, now it's for interpretation of everybody.
Right. Yeah.
And if you worry about how people interpret it, there's a part of you that you can do your best to say, this is the intention. But if people take it one way and they say, hey, when I look at this picture, this picture of the sunflower, I cry because it reminds me of my mom, and because that's where her favorite flower was, and my mom died when I was young, blah, blah, whatever. Like the creator never intended it that way, but people will translate it different, And so, and we also know too, I've always talked about this, is like, we all come from places of hurt. There's damages, and that's how we use things to interpret things that we don't understand. So like you guys doing what you're doing, like Tu's doing what he's doing, with detailing, with cars, whatever he's doing, and people can be like, oh, that's like the wrong technique, or oh, that's not right, or oh, that looks bad, It's theirs, and they have every right to think of whatever they want. But it's I think what I've really learned is, how do you keep, like, what is the foundation that you keep strong on saying, this is why I'm doing this. It's so counterintuitive to being Hmong though. Right? Because what we are taught is you do it for the whole, you do it for the group. No matter what happens, everyone is like, you want everyone to be happy, and there's a consensus. I think that sometimes, don't hear me wrong, I love that. That's what I'm about. Sometimes we lean too far in that, and we're so worried about the opinion of the group that we forget that is sometimes there. I would say that there's the Hmong way, the Mika way, and it's okay for us to take a little bit of both.
Oh yeah.
There's this Western ideology where it's like, you got to be like sure and confident in yourself in whatever you're doing, But then I always ask, where does that confidence come from?
Right.
Where's that foundation? What's it built on? So that's like the one thing. And for me, in the last, I would say 5 years, it's learning how to say, well, where's your confidence? Where's your foundation built on? Yeah.
Because that's a big theme. That's a really common theme in our podcast, is like, how do you teach people to like not be afraid to like put themselves out there, right? Just because everybody, all of our guests at some point or another has put themselves out there, whether it's their own business or whether it's a sport that they play,
or like Pa, who's who does photography.
Yeah,
and
and you open yourself up to criticism, and it's a scary thing, especially in a small community where everybody knows what everybody else is doing. In Hmong Facebook for sure.
Now I understand what you mean.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Dude. Because like it's a scary thing, and like I would say that fear is what stops a lot of great ideas. Because I talk to my friends all the time, and we're kind of all in that same boat where we're like 30, we're in our early to mid 30s. We graduated college. Late 30s. We're in our 30s. But like we all graduated from college. We've been in our jobs for like 10 years, and we fucking hate it. We just hate it. But we're so afraid, and we have all these great ideas, but we're so afraid to like take that step, put ourselves out there. It's like, how do you teach that? Especially as a father now, like I see that there's value in this, so I want to ingrain this into my children. How do I do that? And like, but like, it's such an interesting thing because it's easier to just fall in line, right? It's easier just to go with the flow. It's easier to just go to school, go to college, and get the job. And
I think it's
also
if you go and do your own thing, not only do you have to combat the idea of that you have to expose yourself in that way, right? Your idea, your concepts. But there's also the personal fear of lost time and failure, which goes hand in hand with that. So
Yeah.
now you're combining it seems like cards keep stacking against you.
Yeah.
And so it does take a lot of courage to say, I believe in my idea enough. Or in my case, I just didn't really like having a boss. So for me, it was pretty clear. Okay, I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah.
But
that period of trial and error.
trial and error, but in the same token, you have to work for other people, right? Because that's how you learn leadership. That's how you learn good versus bad leadership.
Yeah,
So
sounds like a Marine over there.
yeah, a little bit. I take my experiences and use them as much as I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad you talk about that. I'm glad you bring that up because I agree. Being in business, as the business is growing, I've had other people reach out to me as well and say, hey, listen, as you get bigger and more people are seeing your stuff, more people are aware of you and you exist, and you're a person who likes to speak your ideas, how you see life. Well, just know that comes with just as many haters as it comes supporters, and I expected that. I expect that, and I welcome it, because if you're truly speaking your opinion and what you think, like you said, when it comes out of your mouth, everybody can interpret it. Sometimes your words might even be good, but they just don't like the way you look.
Yeah.
And so, you can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
So to think about that and dwell over it is almost like a loss of energy and energy for yourself. But then for me, I'm sure for probably all of us, there's days where maybe it impacts you for whatever reason.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wake up today and you're like, dang, these comments hurt today.
Yeah.
And then some days where you're like, I expect that anyway. So,
Yeah.
it changes.
Yeah, I think
it's
I
fluid.
I think also too, the one of the things I've learned is you can prepare yourself for that. Like there's gonna be critics, there's gonna be haters, there's gonna be whatever. But you can prepare yourself all for it, but the moment it hits,
happens.
it hurts still.
Yeah,
And
right.
so like for example, Mike Tyson always has that line, right, where he says, "You can prepare for a fight all you want, but the moment you get into the ring and that first punch hits you in the face,
Yeah,
it's like all that training's out the door."
Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah, everybody has plans until they get punched in the face. And the one thing I think about is that too, because I'm like, okay, I got this, like whatever. And then suddenly you see these comments or you see these things, and you're like, oh. And I got one of my buddies, he owns a business too. He owns a coffee roaster, my buddy Rob, and he talks about it, and he's just like, dude, just don't read those comments. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like I cannot read it, or when it gets vicious, and I get it, man, and it happens, But the one thing I've really learned is just kind of like my mom. There was this happened a while ago. Somebody from church said something, and there was like rumors, how Hmong rumors roll. And there was just saying, "Oh, Ye doesn't own this business. He works for a bunch of white people, and that it's not his. He just works for them." Yeah. And my mom was talking to me about it. It was a while back, a couple year or so ago, and mom's like, she was like, so I heard some people at church were saying that this isn't your business, that it's actually somebody else working. So at first, I was like, it was a lie. I'm 100% owner of it, But she was just saying how you work for, there's this, there's these conglomerate of white people that are in charge of it.
Hmong conspiracy.
Yeah. And I was just like, I was like really upset. I got super emotional about it, And I was explaining to her, I'm like, Mom, it's like, I'm like, my gosh, Mom, it's so hard. It's so hard. Like I'm trying to do something here. And it's so hard. And the thing she said to me, and it changed my view. It changed my world. She said, I was just like in tears, and I remember I'm out on this field. I parked my car. I'm out on this field, and I'm just crying. And I was like, Mom, I'm trying so hard, man. Like I'm so tired. And for people to say things like this, and and she said, she just said, don't listen to this. So some they always said,
Right.
And I was like,
yeah, that's powerful,
dude. Like she's like, I'm the one who bore you. Like I gave you life.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what it means, or you want to know who you are, you talk to me. Mm-hmm. You don't listen to anybody else. And it changed my view, bro. It's just like, like she's the one who gave me life. Yeah. She's the one who birthed me. She's the one that, when we were in the camps, like she took care of us. She lived this sacrificial life for us.
Yeah.
So your mom, for me, my mom and my dad, they're the only ones that has any authorities. And anything that we do, I run it by them. I'm like, hey, I have an idea. I'm going to do this. And they're like, you're right. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Or I'll talk to Dad, and I'm like, Dad, I just got a lot of flack from some of the Hmong community members. Like, what do you think?
Yeah.
you know, he'll just be like, hey, like, don't worry about that. Don't listen. You're like, listen to me. Listen to my voice, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, for me, when I talk about that foundation, that's what I'm talking about, man.
Right.
Because all the critics, all the people who say stuff out there, they didn't live a life for me like that. Do you know what I'm saying? They didn't spend almost 40 years still loving me, taking care of me. They they didn't do any of that. Their hands have never been part of creating and building my identity.
Yeah.
None of them have done that. So what right do they have? They don't have any right. And what words it? Their words are meaningless.
Yeah.
And so when I think about that, dude, it's so simple. Like I always hear my mom, like when there's some of the harshest critic, I hear my mom goes, "You listen to me. I'm the one who gave you life. I'm the only one that can tell you who you are, and I tell you that you're my son."
Yeah.
You know, and like, great, awesome.
Let me ask you this, because I have seen those posts, I have seen those things that say things about you and your business, all those things. How many have you actually heard in the real world? So outside of the internet, because the internet is too easy, right?
Yeah,
I can just hop on my phone. I'm
Yeah.
freaking just watching TV. I see they're trolling, so I'm gonna troll as well.
yeah.
But how many people in real life actually say anything?
You know, I haven't. You know.
Yeah,
okay,
that's what I'm curious
but,
about.
But here, you want to hear the funny thing? I saw a few of these. Okay, this was so weird.
Yeah.
There was these, you know, young people, and they came by the restaurant and took like a picture with me and posted it up on the internet, whatever, posted it up on social media, and it was like, oh yeah, like this is the chef, blah blah blah, and then they said something like, oh, the food was just mid, you know, it was okay.
Yeah.
But we got a picture with the chef, and I was just like, do you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, it's like, dude, it's like somebody who gets, you know, the card done here, and then they take a picture, goes, oh yeah, this is like the owner, blah blah, and then goes, yeah, but it was just an okay service, and it's like, who hurt you, man? Like, why?
Yeah.
And I was like so frustrated.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh yeah, the food is just mid, and I'm like,
Take that picture down.
yeah, there was a part of me that I wanted to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So there is like, I've realized that there is that whole like, oh, this is the trend that's going on. We want the clout for the trend, and then, but it's like, it feels like negative comments always get more people to come.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And so
They're
I don't
more
know, man.
engaging.
I'm like, man, one day, this group was like younger group, you know, I don't want to say kids, but you know, they're younger, and I'd just be like, man, one day, dude, this stuff's gonna catch up to you, dude.
Yeah.
Like it's we
Like,
all know this.
Putting out that negative energy, it doesn't do you any good.
Yeah. It's gonna catch up to you, but it's okay. It's like, okay, but I want you to learn from this moment.
Yeah.
You know, I need you to learn from this because we're all young. We did stupid things, you know. But the thing is, like, the internet never forgets.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, we've learned that with a lot of stuff that's going on, right? It's like 15-year-old kid put something funny and they're like, oh, ha, 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 on Twitter. And then now you're 35 and you're running for Senate, you know, or whatever. And boom, it comes out, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, man, you know, like, see, this stuff catches up to you. Like, you can't hide this stuff. Yeah.
Yep. There's definitely some things that I've said as a youth.
Yeah.
Sometimes on my Facebook history,
I'm
it'll show up. I'm like, oh,
constantly
let me
deleting old posts.
delete that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm doing that every day.
You're like,
Yeah.
you made it if you're with a white woman. Sorry
That
about
was a joke. That was
honey,
a
I'm
joke.
sorry, honey. I was just kidding.
Yeah.
But like it's almost like it's a double-edged sword though, right? Because the Hmong community can be so supportive, but at the same time,
it's
like
a
it can be
double-edged
so
sword.
toxic too.
I think the only
And
thing you
then-
can control though is your business itself, though. You know,
Yep.
you can't control the opinions.
And then
as much.
like what I was gonna say too is like, I saw a post. Do you also see the support? Because like there was a post where somebody said something negative, but I pulled it up. Then there was just like everybody was like bashing the guy that was like trying to shit on you. Wherever like, but like, do you also see like the support from the community?
Yeah, dude. Like,
Because like there's a lot of people that got a lot of love for you, and I would like to think that the people that have negative things to say are a lot
it's
smaller
easy
in
to
numbers
and it's easy to post,
Yeah.
and like you said, when you write negative stuff, it stirs people, and people like to hop on it and be a part of it, even though they might have never ate there, never met you.
Yeah.
They're just jumping on the wagon.
Yeah.
They're not even like they don't have real world experience with the business or the human, right?
so if you talk, like, let's just think about this. Let's think about basketball, right? NBA.
Yeah.
You know, the discussion of like who's the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. You know,
Yeah.
like, you know, LeBron is passed, but you know, so he can't speak for himself. But you never see Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron like talk about it. Like they don't go on there with other people.
Yeah.
They don't have to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
Right,
like
right,
they don't.
right.
They
Doing
don't.
their thing.
they don't have to. Like Jordan doesn't go on his Twitter or on his, whatever, his social media and goes, no, I think I'm the GOAT. Like,
yeah.
no, like, I think that's when you, like, that's the one thing I think about. Like, I think about these guys where they're like, who's the GOAT? And it's kind of a fun conversation to have. Like, where's the best burger?
Yeah.
It's a fun conversation. It's just like, man, these guys are all great players, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they don't hop on there and talk. And that's something that I'm not saying I'm the GOAT or anything, but that, like, I take from that example of like, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you do what you do, you're talented in what you do, people are gonna say stuff, don't join in the fuss, And one of the things, so this is the one thing I've learned, and you're talking about like working in the corporate world and kind of like, oh dang, like I want to do something else. I know that there's a lot of like Hmong kids that will hear this and will be like, dude, like we want to just leave what we're doing right now and to do this. And I'm like, that's great, man. And I want to say to like my brothers and sisters, I was like, that's great. I see them as like young brothers and sisters. I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. But what if I told you that be where you are and be the best at where you are?
Right.
Because the truth of the matter is this. We need Hmong representation in everything.
Yeah.
I did this panel and we were at this area and we were at this talk and I did this panel, and there was a group of bankers from J.P. Morgan, Chase, bank, and it's all Hmong. There's like 12 of them.
Yeah.
And for me, as a Hmong kid who was trying to get a loan to start a restaurant, as a Hmong kid was trying to get a loan for our business, I would walk into these. I would come into these boardrooms, or I would come to these meetings with these bankers that are white, and I talked about our culture, I talked about our people, I talked about why we want to do this, right? They're great. No knock on them. They're great, but they know what they know.
Yeah.
They'll just look at our numbers, right? They'll look at your numbers and they're like, it's a bad risk, right? But imagine if I went in there and there was a Hmong person in there speaking for us. If there was a Hmong person in there going, I get it. You know why? Because it resonates to me.
Yeah.
This person doesn't have to be a cook themselves. This person doesn't have to start, like a Hmong restaurant. This person doesn't do that. But they get the story. So when I say things like, you guys get it, man.
Right.
You know that flavor,
Oh, yeah.
Like being a farmer, bro. Like you get that when I say,
Yep.
you get that.
Yeah.
When I say, when I say, like, no mumblo, you get that. You know that taste, man.
Yeah.
In these rooms where we have non-Hmong people that we're trying to get like bank loans. I use the bank as an example. They can understand it from a empathetic point of view,
Right.
but to know that taste,
Oh, yeah.
to know that flavor, to know that, like, when, last weekend when we served Corina,
Yeah.
there were some people like, okay, so, what does this look like? But then the Hmong kids who came through, they're like, oh, I get this.
Yeah, yeah.
I get this. Like, this is like, I'm heard. This is our people, right? This is our food here. We need that in every area. We need that in the medical field. We need that in the, the law field. We need that as executives and CEO, because what we don't need is Hmong people that are in those areas and then goes, well, I don't feel like I can talk about my people.
Right.
We need you guys to be able to understand who you are, where you come from.
Yeah.
This thing that my dad taught me is like, you got to know who you are to know where you stand, to know where you're going. So it's like knowing our past, where we come from. That's what makes us Hmong.
Yeah.
Like we come from this horrific, traumatic past, but you know what? We freaking went through it.
Yeah.
Our people went through it. I don't care how many generation removed you are.
Right.
Like your kids are gonna still talk about that.
Yep.
Because that's who they are. So we know where we stand. So then when we have this next generation of younger Hmong kids that are coming through, they can show us where we're going.
Yeah.
That's what our parents did. That's why they fought this war. That's why they died this war. That's why they did all of this. And so for me, it's not about, hey, kids, like quit your jobs and do whatever and just like come and do your passion. No. We need you to be those corporate guys. We need you to be those CEOs. We need you to go out there and freaking war and win in the job field, because wherever you go, because this is the thing that I've accepted. Wherever I go, I always get like so like, because it's always like, da-da-da. The Hmong chef, Vang, the Hmong chef. And I'm like, why the frick can't I be a chef? Like, like, why can't I just be a chef? Or why can't I just be a cook? It's like Hmong food, doing Hmong. Wherever you go, I don't care where you are in the world, you're always going to be seen as that. Accept that, dude. Stop rejecting it. Right. Accept it. Accept it. people, I was at this thing and I was talking about Hmong food, and the question was, how do you, like, when it comes to your identity and who you are, when did you fully accept it? And I said, I think in my 20s, you know what, like after college and stuff, it was like I knew who I was already. Like it was like, yeah, this is who you are.
Yep.
And I felt like I rejected it by saying, no, like I'm gonna take it back, return to sender, and make it what I want it to be, then send it back.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
I know who I was. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
So I ran from it. The moment we accept that and say, this is who we are, you know, and wherever we go, wherever we step, wherever we go, wherever we step, we are a part of our people and our people are a part of us.
Yeah.
It makes us less ashamed of being like an executive at
Right.
Target or something and being like, yeah, I'm Hmong, but I'm just going to kind of keep my thing here. I did that. But the moment you embrace that, the moment you know who you are, it is so freeing. It is so freeing to accept and say, this is our culture, this is our history, this is our lineage, and I wear that. But the story's not done yet.
Yeah.
That's my thing, man. The story's not done yet. We didn't come here as refugees and just said, that's it, poor us.
Yeah.
We didn't, no, it wasn't that. Like, we came here as refugees so that we can keep building on to that story, right? That's what we get to do, man. And in every aspect. This is the first time in our generation, in our people's history, the first time when we can be whoever we want to be and we can go wherever we want to go here in America. That's, our parents didn't have that. You know, for our parents, you know what determined their future? War.
Yeah.
When you live in a country where war is on your doorsteps, war determines your history. Determines your future. War determines where you're going to go. War determines your life.
Yeah.
We don't have that, man. And it's so I tell people, I love food. I love cooking. That's the vessel I get to use. And it's freaking awesome, and I love it. But I don't expect everybody to be like, quit your jobs and come cook with us. No. Come eat with us. Come dine with us.
Yeah.
Like we could talk about our people together, but wherever you are, accept wherever you are, accept the stage of life of wherever you are.
Yeah.
You know, if some people are like, hey, like I'm in here doing this corporate job, you know, this is what I'm doing. Accept that, dude.
Yeah.
And it makes you unstoppable no matter where you go.
Man, I love that about you, man. Like, you know, I've been tuning in to a ton of your podcasts, and, you know, I think you are a part of this, like, wave where we talk to Swami, where there's this resurgence of, like, of people who are, of our people that are telling our story, retelling our story, and then creating new stories. I think you do such a good job at that. And I think, like, especially like going on MeatEater and to be able to articulate where we came from, why we eat the foods that we eat, like, that's so huge for us, because like there's for a moment there in the Hmong community, there was this like time period where it was kind of not cool to be Hmong, and then there was kind of like this, like, where you kind of move away from it.
Yeah.
And then now we're seeing Hmong language and music, right? We're seeing our stories being told. Like, there is this like resurgence, and it's like really cool to see that, and it's really cool to like to have you here with us, because like you are at the forefront of that. I think that's really amazing, and that's why, like, sometimes, like, when I see the flag, sometimes I'm kind of like, why, why is that a thing? Like, to go on MeatEater, oh my God, let's talk about that. To go on MeatEater and like tell our story. First of all, like, I love Steve Vernella, and like. And hunting is such a close thing to us. Yeah. And, you know, we were just talking about it. We're one generation removed from that. Like, our parents did it in their homeland. So, like, how was that? Going to Montana, big country, big sky out there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Did you guys get a chance to, like, go outdoors, do any hunting?
No, we didn't get a chance to do hunting, but so the story goes, it's probably a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
We just got greenlit for Feral for the outdoors. So it's our show got greenlit, and one of my good college buddies, his name is Jordan. We've known each other almost 20 years. You know, and
he was on the show, right?
Yeah. He they just like, go sit there, and he's like, okay. You know, Wisconsin boy from Eau Claire. You know, white dude.
Yeah.
We met in college, and closest friend. You know, a really close friend, a good close friend. I have a group of them. And I always get flagged for having like a lot of Mika friends, you know, because they're like, "Why don't you have Hmong friends?" Like, I grew up in like with white people, man. What am I supposed to do? Be like, you keep me my friend because you're white, you know? Yeah. But you know, Jordan's one of those guys. He's a PA, so he works with substance abuse, people who deal with that. And so they live down in like Rockford area, Illinois. So that's where him and his wife, and they got a bunch of kids down there. And so he loves his oldest son is like 12. And so like he's in that age where like he grew up hunting, right? He's an Eau Claire boy, right? Northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. And so he loves hunting. And so, MeatEater, all that stuff, he loves that. His dad loves it. His dad's side of the family, they have like a deer camp they go to all the time. And they always talk about hunting and all that stuff and fishing. And so his little boy, Riley, is super into that too. And sometimes they'll listen to MeatEater together as like a father and son thing. It's pretty cool. He's got 4 kids. It's the oldest. And Riley like loves outdoor. He loves hunting. He like shot his first buck last year, or his first doe last year. You know what I'm saying? It's super awesome, right? Real cool. And so a year and a half ago, the show got greenlit, and he's like, bro, wouldn't it be cool if like, Steve and the boys got you. You can go to Bozeman and be on MeatEater. And like a year and a half ago, I'm like, I follow these guys, and I'm like, whatever, dude, shut up, Like we gotta do what we gotta do. And probably like 4 months ago, there was I got an email from Corinne, who is the producer there, and Corinne's like, hey, we'd love to have you out here. It's like, I just want you to, Corinne, she's super sweet, and she's like, I just want you to know, like, we've been wanting you to come out here for the last year, but just scheduling conflict didn't work. We've heard a lot about you. And then Mitch, who is the vice president of, he's one of the executives for Outdoors. Like, we'll talk about the show. We'll get you out there. And so when Jordan said that to me a year and a half ago, I'm like, shut up, bro. I'm like, and I kind of said it, I'm like, bro, if I ever get called out there, I'll take you with me. Ha ha ha. And it's like a joke, right? Yeah. And literally when I got that email, I screenshot the email, I sent it to him, like, hey, get your bags packed. Like, we're going to Bozeman. And that, do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's why I love doing what I love to do. Yeah. Not because it's like, like pat in the back of here, but like, you have these friends who for many years have supported you, loved you, and care about you. Yeah. And not because it's like you're a celebrity, whatever, or not because like, you're known, blah, 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 blah. Or if somebody talks about you to them, they don't go, that's like my best friend. Like, not for the clout, right? Yeah. But like we were like measly college kids together. And the big Mona, we would just like put all our money in, like collect money, and then we I go to the store and I get a few chicken and some potatoes, and I grill for us. And we grew up in college together, man. We went through some rough stuff together. I stood in his wedding and all that stuff like that. Friends who are like, I love you and I care about you because you. Yeah. Not because of all this stuff, right? Yeah. I love doing what I get to do because I get to bring them along on it. Yeah. It's so fun. So I'm like, pack your bags, bro. We're going. Got some real nice seats on planes. We went out there, and I packed like one extra day of fun. And they just took care of us, man. Wow. So we went on and recorded. And Jordan he's like a Wisconsin boy, right? Mm-hmm. So he's like hunter, fisherman, and he's very, very smart, works in the medical field, very passionate about, the medical field that he works in. So, we were there, and I think it meant a lot to his family, especially his dad. That he gets to talk a little bit about his family on that show, which is like the biggest hunting show, ever. Right. And so we got there, and there was like a little open scene. They're like, hey, Jordan, just sit there and put on a mic, And he's like, what? Yeah. And then especially, they talked about the bluegill tattoo and how it represented his, grandfather that he never knew. Well, there's a little backstory to that. Is like, if you listen to that, he talks about his grandpa, his dad's dad, he never knew. He tells me this one story once where he's just like, one of my uncles or something like that, like looked at me and said, you know what? You look exactly like our dad, your grandpa. Yeah. And Jordan never met him. He goes, your demeanor, who you are, the way you carry yourself. Yeah. You look like grandpa's reflection is in you. So here's a grandson who never met his grandpa, he's passed. But then his uncles and his dad goes, you remind us of our father. Man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so he gets to talk a little about that bluegill in there. Mm-hmm. And it's just like this special moment where his whole family, his family texts him and goes, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Yeah. And his cousins who are big MeatEater fans are like, holy crap, like this is our cousin. And these are like, Yeah. Man, that moment was so special for me. Yeah. And that for me is like one, and then we got a chance, like we rented out this, like we kind of bouged it up. We got this like Jeep Gladiator. So we purposely got like kind of the lifted kit on it. We paid a little extra for that so we could just like take off these like dirt roads on the mountains. We went to Big Sky. We drove all the way around Yellowstone. Yeah. And it was so cool. We had Corinne, the producer for MeatEater, she's so sweet. And we're like, Corinne, do you have a cooler and 2 lawn chairs for us? And she goes, yeah, I'll find one. So we literally took 2 lawn chairs, cooler, a bunch of Coors Banquet beer.
Yeah.
And when we drove around Yellowstone, we found like a really cool spot, like either by the lake or like by a mountaintop. And we would set up our little, our little Yeti cooler with the Coors Banquet beer. And then we put out our seats and we just sit there. And literally for half hour, we just, have a beer, eat some pretzel and just like look. Yeah. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, okay, and then pack everything back up in the Jeep, and then just kept tripping. And then we spent like a whole day from like 7 in the morning till 9 at night just driving around Yellowstone. And it was this moment, and this, man, and I think this is the thing that I love about being like, I got a chance to go up to Aspen for food and wine, whatever once. I got a chance to go to the Grand Canyon. I love these moments where you're standing on a mountain ridge and you're sitting there and you see the vastness and how big the mountain are. Mm-hmm. And this incredible creation that you can't understand in your head, your measly human head, of how this was once how this is created. And you see this beautiful color, and I feel so small and tiny, and I love it. And what I realize is there's a bigger world out there than me, and it's so humbling. Huh? I don't care how whatever status of celebrity, whatever famous you are, but it's so humbling to stand there and go, yes, I'm part of something bigger, something I can never understand. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it really, for me, and I was just talking to Jordan when we were on the trip, was talking about it. I was like, this is amazing. And then we're sitting in the studio, right? And we're talking to these guys that we admire, these hunter guys, And what's really cool is they remind me a lot of like our dads and our uncles when they gather and they tell like old war stories, or they tell like hunting stories. Yeah. That's basically what these guys are.
The American version of that.
Yeah. But now they have, recording devices, and they're in the studio, but they just tell stories, and they just want to meet new people.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what was really, really fun. And it was a really fun show. And I knew going in, they were going to ask, certain questions of who are the Hmong people, like how are they part of American history, and then just always making sure that I can represent that to the best of my ability. And then the other thing too was like I love the fact that as hunters, like that's in our blood. I don't care who you are, fisherman, hunter, outdoorsman. We're from the outdoors. We're you know. The jungles of the mountains of Laos just changed to the northwoods of Minnesota, but it's still the same concept. That's why when I was presented the show Feral, and they were like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to go into the woods. We're going to go into the river. We're going to go into the water, and we're going to hunt these invasive creatures, or creatures that most people won't eat. And we're going to hunt them with a guide, and then you're going to cook them on the spot. And you're going to make food out of it. And it's just going to be a hunting and cooking show. I was like, this show is so Hmong, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, oh, you have invasive bullfrog down here in the bayous of Houston, Texas. Yeah, you bring 4 Hmong uncles out here, and we'll cure this place right now.
Watch me eat it.
Yeah.
Clear the whole lake
or like,
of this
thing,
thing,
in Southern Illinois, in season 2, Southern Illinois, we went squirrel hunting, and I'm like, oh yeah, squirrel hunting. Yeah. I mean, this is it, Or we went fishing for the flying carps. Yep. It's just all these carps, and then and then we're like cooking it, and I'm like, oh, come on. Like this is, this is too easy to do. Yeah.
Yeah, squirrel hunting is great. Like I haven't had squirrel in such a long time, but I remember eating it as a kid and I loved it. And then like there was a period where like I moved away from. This is why I like Steve in them too, because like they're true Midwestern boys.
Yeah, Michigan. He's from Michigan.
Yeah. And like there was a period where as a kid I was eating a lot of squirrels and a lot of things that my uncles and them would hunt and bring over for us to eat. And then there was a period where like I stopped that just because I didn't have access to it. I didn't know where to go about getting it, and I didn't start hunting yet. And then there's almost this shame to it. Yep. I'll say it. Yeah, there was a shame to it just because. Because like that's not a thing that. Yeah. I guess I don't want to say normal people, but like people in the cities. They don't normally consume that. And so
it's considered like a backwoods, like bambano.
And when I heard Steve talk about that on one of his earlier episodes, I was like, oh my God, I love this guy. This is my guy right here. Yeah. Like, because I grew up eating that stuff. Yeah. But so do you hunt? Are you planning on hunting this year?
Yeah. I would love to. The scheduling is the biggest thing. Yeah. I love to. And you guys hunt and stuff like that. And even going fishing is tough for me sometimes. we did this little gig in Rapella, the
Yeah, yeah.
fishing lure
Yeah.
company sent me a bunch of lures, and I feel so bad. They're not open yet, and it's just like in this box, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm like, someone, I would love to get it. Just timing wise, it's a little tougher, but I've been trying to get more into just like being more comfortable.
Yeah.
When we can, So I was just telling too that up in Blaine, there's a clay pigeon shooting league that my buddy like does with his dad and his family, and he's like, hey dude, you want to join us? And I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
And so I've been kind of doing that just to get ready. My buddy's got his dad's got this deer camp cabin in central Wisconsin, so there's always like, hey, come on out here, and it's been really cool to go out there. And his dad's incredible. My buddy Ryan Lamp from college, and his dad is incredible. Mr. Lamp is like, just come on out here, and he goes, he'll set up all the targets, and then just kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to teach you how to shoot. We're going to, be better at it, be more proficient, and stuff like that. And so I would love to, and I plan on it, but it's just like scheduling, man. Holidays are pretty tough for us.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, we got this thing, but we're changing over some of the leadership stuff at work. So it's just like making sure that I stay hip to hip with all our current leaders right now. And so, but I love to get there, but I tell people too, is like with the show, like, I get it's like you get into hunting mode and it's like 20 days.
Yeah.
Like whatever. Like, it's like, okay, we're going hunt here. We're going to hunt there, and like, we're going to go do this. We're going to go do this. And then so you kind of like, it's like if I take the show and I put it all together, it's about, I don't know, somewhere from like 18 to 21 days of filming.
Yeah.
If I put all so it's like you get a real, like just a big, like boom, and then you're done. You're like, okay, like, kind of get back to work and do a few things. But I love to get into it.
Yeah, because we're fairly new to hunting.
Yeah.
We call ourselves hunters, but can you really call yourself a hunter if you haven't harvested yet?
You can, yeah. You just
You just haven't
I-
harvested
I-
yet.
Yeah.
I like to call it just
Yeah.
sitting on a tree watching the sunset and sunrise.
Yeah.
Or reading a book or something.
Yeah.
But this is my story where it's like 100 hours on the trees, no animal harvested, $1,000 spent on hunting equipment
Yeah.
and nothing to show.
But that's
for
part
it.
of the adventure, though.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
part of like the actual
The
journey. though,
grind.
So
Yeah.
But it's also too, it's like, this is where like the hunting community is really cool, is that like you could talk to other people. Okay, so
Yeah.
like what cam should I be using?
Yeah.
Like, okay, what feed are you guys using out there?
Yeah,
Like what am I looking for?
Yeah.
And my buddy Ryan is always talking to me about that stuff, So he's just like, okay, hey man, like, when you're clay pigeon shooting, like this is how you're gonna swing your gun. Remember, like swing through it. Don't stop it. Oh, remember this. Okay, like what's the choke on your shotgun like? Stuff like that.
Right.
So it's such this open community where it's like knowledge you want to pass down. Like for example, man, like if we really think about it, like that's how it is in the mountains of Laos for our parents.
Yep.
Like our dads, their dads taught them. Like how did they catch? How did they catch? Like jungle squirrels and jungle rats for meat, well, their dad taught them, who was taught by their dad.
Yeah.
And it's the passing of knowledge. That's so Hmong.
Yeah.
That's why as hunter, foragers, farmers, you learn all these things because
Right.
it's passed down.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And I think that's why for me, when I look at these younger Hmong kids who are like doing different things, I'm like, no, man, I don't care what you do, dude. Just know that like sit by the footsteps of the elders and learn from them and glean from the wealth of knowledge that they want to give to you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's very important. I think that's
It's hard to do it sometimes, huh? The new generation, they grew up here. They're very much. I mean, for a lot of Hmong children now, other than looking Hmong, and perhaps having Hmong parents and still having all those things that are Hmong, it's so much easier to just adapt to the environment where you grew up and say that I'm a Western. I mean, you're not anymore. You're as American as it gets.
Yeah.
Your parents, a lot of them are, if not first generation, they at least came when they were very young. So your parents probably already went through a college system.
Yeah.
So by the time that you're born, your parents now, what I see now, like you're a parent, right? Now I see it now. It's like the parent now, they're like, you guys are pretty American already, so you are able to give that American experience to your children, teach them what it's like when they're going to enter high school, what prom is like, what homecoming's like, what to expect getting into college. So I could see why Hmong kids now are transitioning away from it, and so like we talked about in the podcast when I came on last time, like it is our job to do what we can, right? We don't control anything, but it is our job to do what we can, where we can, to just inject little things. whether it's for our own next generation or like what you're doing, which is you're able to get on big platforms and share that story too. And so, like you said, I'm always like, when people have negative things to say about you, I say, well, I mean, who else is out there spreading who we are to a bigger audience? Because he's not out there shitting on their culture. He's out there spreading positivity about our culture. We should be supporting that. But once again, Hmong Facebook and you know,
that's what the title of
that
this
is
thing
what-
is. Hmong Facebook.
It's like
Yeah.
Hmong Facebook question mark.
But that is what I think
Yeah.
about all the time. I say, why so much hate when now we're getting we fought to be recognized, we fought to just be seen and heard, and everybody wants to be heard, right?
Yeah.
And as a culture, we want to be heard because we think that we do have an interesting story that is traumatic and that was very challenging. So we do want that to be heard. But then when we get the one guy who does it, all of a sudden
And here's a
everybody's
guy
like,
who's doing it, who's
Yeah,
articulate,
exactly.
and who has a real
we
authentic
should
Hmong
support
story.
that. Yes.
Yeah, you know, one of the things I learned as just having a business too, and you know, getting older. One thing I learned is like everyone talks about change, everybody wants change, everybody needs change, but when the
Nobody wants to do
change,
it, right?
when the
Yeah.
change
Yep.
means you have to
Yeah,
change, it's
nobody
like,
wants to do
no,
it.
well, no, like you know,
I don't want the heat.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I think that's one of the things. Like, I think about like just like so for example, okay, like my nephew, like you know, he's 17 years old. He's a senior year. Yeah. So nephew, he's 17 years old. He is high school, and I think that one of the things was like I got a chance to talk to him because he came up to work at the state fair. They live in Wisconsin, and I got a chance to talk to him. I was driving back home, and I got a chance to talk to him, and and his grandpa, my dad, like helped raise him. It's just like grandpa and grandma, raise some of their grandkids, and I was talking to him, and I talked about how dad was he was a war hero. He fought in the war, and this is what he did, and he had to fight for freedom, fight to get us to America here and stuff like that. And I said, and I explained that to him, and he's like, wait, I never knew that. It was like it baffled me.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't wait, like grandpa did all that? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like to you, grandpa is this like nice, like old grandpa who like always fed you, who always did all these great things for you, took care of you.
Mm-hmm.
He helped raise you. But then when I was like, nah, man, grandpa like at age 12
Yeah,
took
they
a
don't
gun.
realize.
Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like took up a gun, went to train, and then fought for the CIA and the American government. Like, you understand that, right? And he's like, wait, what? And it was like this thing where it's just like, I think that sometimes we need to bring back, or I shouldn't say bring back. I think that sometimes we need to keep reminding these younger generations of how
The
there was
story.
a fight
Yeah.
for us to get here.
Yeah.
And again, like, how we were saying, like, we're not that far removed from it.
No, yeah.
This isn't like, oh, this was like the war of, 1812 and
Right.
No. Like,
Right.
this was like, 40 years ago, 50 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
And I
It must be hard for the young generation to really grasp it though. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, for us, we felt it so closely. It must be tough for the young kids because especially now, like some of the parents, like people our age that are doing well. You grew up in a suburban home.
Yep.
You grew up, your parents are driving like dad's got a sport car, a second car, Tundra to go fishing, a boat.
Yeah.
So it's like, it makes it harder, right? It makes it harder to like really sink it in versus like most of us, when we all arrive, it's probably Section 8. It's,
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
so,
you know what I'm saying.
so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
get it. We get it.
Food stamps,
So
yeah,
we
you
get
know,
it from the ground up,
Yeah.
coming from the ground up. But this next generation, they're a little bit spoiled for the right reasons because
Yes.
we worked hard. That's why we are.
we can look at that as progress.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like like I don't have any kids, but I look at my niece and nephew, and like even like with your kids, bro, like the fact that their load is a little lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not because like you're like I want to spoil them, but no, because like no, your parents worked hard, you're working hard,
Yeah.
and every generation it's gonna get a little lighter. It's success and progress. That's great. I love it. I want that. The other thing is I don't want success, progress, us to hold on to this and forget about this.
Yep.
This heritage, this legacy part.
Yep.
Like until the day I die, like this is what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
This is the part where we like, I always tell people are like, you have such a great story. And I'm like, it's not my story, man. You know what it is? It's mom and dad's story. I'm just an editor.
Right.
I'm merely the guy who gets to move the commas around. I indent for the paragraph. I get to have a different platform where we can talk about this, you know, but it's not my story. I always talk about, but the old school way of writing, a quill and, like a feather quill and an ink. I'm always say that they are the ink and I am the quill. I'm that feather. And what is a quill without ink? It's just a feather that gets blown away.
Yeah.
I only exist. And what I can do is because what they've done.
Yeah.
And they are the ink. They are the, I can't write a story. You can't write a story without ink.
Right.
That's what it is. And so for my big thing that I love talking to young Hmong kids about, especially in schools, is understanding that, hey man, the reason you can sit at that chair, the reason you can have those shoes, the reason you can have the comfort you have here and not worry that some soldier army group's going to come in and shoot you and genocide you out without the government stepping in. The reason why was people died for that. I always say freedom isn't free. Like someone paid for it. Wasn't you, but someone paid for it.
Yeah.
And so that's one of those things where it's like really on my heart to be like, I want you to remember this. I want you guys to know this, It's something I remind myself every day too, And that's why like in the work we do, sometimes when I like get tired and I'm like, oh, I can't do any more emails. I'm like, whatever, man. I sit in a comfortable coffee shop, bro, with my cold brew. And I'm doing just writing, few sentences back to people.
Yeah.
What am I complaining about, man? I'm not like you, man. You're out there harvesting and you're out there working, and so sometimes I'm like, dude, get over yourself, man. Like for me, I'm like, get over yourself.
I think what's neat about what you're doing, because when I look at your story, sometimes I think about myself and say, oh, well, how can I also pass on this Hmong heritage thing that I take great pride in? And it's like, well, I detail cars, so it's a little tougher to find an angle. Obviously, it gives me like a platform to have a voice. But it is cars, right? And nobody during the Vietnam War is thinking about that. But because your avenue is cool because it's food.
Yeah.
And so you get to spread a lot through food that is culturally ours.
Yeah.
Because I thought about many times, man, what can I do to also spread the message
this
a
is
little
the thing
bit?
that I love about it. Like I love about what you two both do. Like I said to you, be the best in what you're in. Like be the best. Like, dude, I love the fact that you're going, hey, I'm gonna go, to France, or I'm gonna go to Germany. I'm gonna go to Germany. I'm gonna go and like collaborate and learn from these guys. That's freaking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. Imagine that we live in a world where, like, us as Hmong kids, us as these like, Hmong guys who own business, whatever, that you're leading the way in your industry.
Yep.
That's
the way it should be.
I'm not knocking on our Mika friends, but all I'm saying is, why does like Hmong people, we always have to wait for a Mika person to dub us worthy?
Yeah.
Like, dude, man, our parents, like I think about my dad in war for me to get here, so that I could just be like, okay, Mika people, am I good enough yet? No, dude.
Right.
Like, you got to go out there, man. We got to go out there.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, in whatever you're doing, like, that you're going to carry that title Hmong with you, right? Suni Lee wins the world championship. She becomes an Olympic gold medalist, blah, blah, blah. And everybody, and I'm listening to all these interviews. I've never met her. I've never talked to her. I'm listening to these interviews,
Wait,
right?
so like all you famous Hmong people just don't hang out, have like secret dinners or anything?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to get in.
Right.
We're trying to get invited to the
if you guys
cookout
know
here.
where it is, you tell me. I'll bring some quotzal. And she wins, and I'm hearing these interviews, right? And they're like, how does it feel to represent your people? How does it feel? 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
Sweetheart girl. Wins, she's still a kid. Let's just be honest, right? She's still a kid.
young,
And all these, like, the world is looking at her and say, who are the Hmong people?
Yeah.
You're a Hmong person, and they're talking to her about it. And they're just like, Suni, talk to us about your people. Talk to us about people. I really wanted to, I never got a chance, but what I really wanted to do was like write her a letter and say this, and say, hey, little sister, listen to me.
Yeah.
The weight and the history of our people, thousands and thousands of years of history and all that baggage, doesn't have to be on your shoulder.
Wow, beautiful.
You aren't the one that is going to have to be to carry us forward. It's not on your shoulder. It's on all our shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so don't worry. You don't have to answer these questions. You don't have to try to be this person who carries the glory and the success and the failures of Hmong people is not on you.
Yeah.
You are one of many of us that we all have to carry it on our shoulders. And I wanted to, this is like after she won the Olympics, I wanted to send her this big note and just say, go to Auburn, because at that point she was going to Auburn. Go to Auburn, win a freaking national championship.
Yeah.
Be a freshman in college. Be a kid. Enjoy your freshman year.
Yeah.
Go have fun. And go be the best NCAA Division I athlete that you can. And regardless, if you don't win the national championship, you're still one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless, next, this coming season for the Olympics, if you don't win gold, if you get silver, you get bronze, I don't care. You'll still be a Hmong kid. You're one of us. And that's like the biggest thing, man. Like when you get that recognition, everybody goes, "You're the one. You're the voice. You're gonna." I get that. I get that. I get what they're saying. But to the Hmong kids who are out there, to the Hmong people who are out there that get to be a part of who we all represent our people.
Yeah.
Our people group is stronger when the 18 clans are together as one.
Right.
Because it ain't about a Moy, it ain't about, Shongs, it's not about Taos, it's not about Vangs, it's not about, it's not about that, man.
Yeah.
We as one is strong. Like, we as a one group, as a one, cohesive group is a lot stronger. And I that's what I think about, man. Like, I just like all our shoulders. It should be on all our shoulders. We get to care.
Right.
And you know what? What I love about this is like the next generation of Hmong kids that are going to do this. Our job is to make sure that we build strong shoulders.
Yeah.
Right. That's our job. That's all I really want to do. I want to make sure that that these next kids have strong shoulders, strong legs, strong knees, so that they get to carry it on their shoulders, and then they get to pass it down to the next generation and the next generation. So, like, man. Like, if there's a Hmong kid who's like, man, I really love food, I want to use this, I want to do this, great, awesome, come. It's like, how you have all these young guys that train with you. Yeah, awesome, come. And if you find out in a few years it's not your thing, great, but you have a great skill to go on. You know how to work hard, you know what determination is, come work on the farm.
Yeah.
You get to learn how to work hard, you get to learn how to harvest your own food, you get to do all these things. There are life skills that you get to go on, you get to move forward on it. And it's okay. And that's why I love what you guys are doing, man. You guys are doing things where it's like, no, we're going to be the best in this area. Not like we're going to be the best Hmong, car dealer, blah, 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 blah. And like, no, or I'm going to be the best Hmong farmer. Like, no. Like, we're going to be the best in this area.
Yep.
And we're going to find the best and we're going to work with the best. And that's how I looked at it when we started doing food. I was like, no, like, these are my friends. And some of my buddies are some of the best chefs in the country. And I get to glean from them. I get to learn from them. We are getting to do what our parents did, our grandparents did a long time ago in the mountains of Laos, when they would come to the city and they would rub shoulders with the Mblo, they would rub shoulders with the Thai or the Nyala, and they learn from their culture, they glean from their culture, and taking part of that, taking it back to our culture and say, how do we build our culture with that? How do we build our people group with that?
Right.
And so I get a lot of crap for, oh, your food is too mika. We get a lot of crap like, oh, your food's not really authentic, Hmong. And I'm like, what's authentic Hmong? Define that for me.
Right.
We'll have a conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing as I've always talked about this too. Whenever we talk about the discussion of like, oh, it's not Hmong. Like, you always hear that comment say it's not Hmong enough. I say, well, look, most people, when we talk about papaya salad, you like the papaya salad you grew up on, which is your aunts, your moms, or whatever. So when you go to the Hmong village and there's 30 choices of papaya salad, it still takes you all 30. And at the end of the day, you're like, I kind of like the one my aunt made because that's the best one, because that's just the best. It's like best according to you, best according to you. So it's subjective in that sense. And I have my cousin that lives in France. He's really big into cooking too. And I always tell him too, I'm like, because he wants to start food stuff. And I always tell him, like, look, listen, your food that you're bringing from the French culture over, you're probably going to think that is the most killer food you've ever made.
Yeah.
But now try serving it to American mouths. Yeah. And they're probably going to rip on you. And then you're going to be like, they don't understand. And they're not wrong. And neither are you. Like, everybody's right in their own mind. So that's why food is tough. Food is tough. Food is tough.
And Hmong has changed like so much in even just the past 10 years.
Yeah.
It's
progression.
You
move forward.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, like, one of the things you guys talked about in the MeatEater podcast, sorry to always go back to it, is like, wherever we migrated to, like, we've always adapted to those things, right? Yeah. Whether it's language, whether it's culture, whether it's pho. I mean, pho is uh, um, you know, it's home to Southeast Asia. It's not just a Hmong dish, right? I mean, it's and so if you talk about all these
before the Vietnamese made it Vietnamese, you know, pho, it was influenced by the Chinese.
Yep.
You know, so it's just like, you know, historically, we did this show on pho, and so I did a little research on it. It's traced back to Chinese roots.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah. So is
Nice.
ramen too. Everything comes from China.
Yeah,
made.
Right. No, everything is. Yeah.
And so like, this idea of what is authentically Hmong is kind of, I don't know.
It's a. I mean, how do you even define it?
Some idea.
Yeah,
I
how
don't
do you
know.
even define it though?
Yeah.
What is like
can't. That's the
authentic
thing, like,
Hmong
it's
to
always
you?
changing.
Yeah,
It's always changing.
what's authentic to you? Because I could say, like some people want to say, oh, like your food is not as authentic as Hmong Food Village.
Yeah.
Well, maybe to me, Hmong Food Village is not authentic until you get to Laos. and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
how
right.
authentic
Yeah,
it
and
is.
too, you've been to Laos, so it's just like,
exactly.
yeah, you've been there, and you're like, well, it's
exactly.
not,
I ate over there, and so I'm like, well, maybe this is authentic. And then maybe to the Hmong people in Laos, maybe you get a Hmong guy who came from China. He's used to like considers himself a real meow, and he's like, no, this is Lao Hmong food.
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
Hmong
Yeah.
food.
Yeah,
And Chinese
and we
Hmong
can
food.
we can
So
we
it's
can
like,
we can talk this until we're blue in the face,
Yep.
and it's like one of those things where it's like it goes around and around. But one of the things I really learned is to just see beyond that, right?
Yeah,
to have a bigger
absolutely.
to have a bigger creativity than that.
Yeah.
You know, man, like it's like one of those things where I think about where it's like if we subjugate it to this little thing, then that's where our
won't change.
creativity
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You know, my mom always talks about like I want to see my children change the world, not just the Hmong world.
Yep.
She always says that to us, and that's like thinking beyond.
Yeah, you,
Right.
You know, it's thinking beyond like kind of I call it immigrant refugee thinking. You know, because immigrant refugee thinking is survival now. What do
Yep.
we need? Like living paycheck to paycheck, right?
Yep.
But when we are able to have that privilege to say, what's savings, right?
Yeah.
How do we save? How do we stockpile something away so that when the tough seasons come, we can glean from that. Our people have never really have that, but now we're starting to have that, and now we get to talk about that. You know. So I find it that it's this thing where it's like it's gonna, as much as we're educating and as much as we are telling, you know, the majority culture about who Hmong people are, I think there's a part of us that have to come back and kind of educate our own people. You know, and saying, hey, this is what we're thinking about. This is what we're talking about. You know,
Right.
And I think that there's every generation or whatever you want to call it. There's always a group of young people, you know,
Right.
that are going, okay, I'm not questioning the status quo. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I'm trying to say, hey, is there a different creative way that we can look at this?
Right.
You know, and we get to do this, even doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, man, can you imagine 10 years ago having something like this and we could talk about stuff like this?
Yeah.
No, you know? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's,
you wouldn't
no.
be able to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And I think in every population too, you're gonna have a conservative group that wants to
The
retain.
hardliners, yep.
You have the hardliners that's conservative and don't want to change anything, and then you're going to have the progressive types who are going to take ideas that we have, evolve them, and then it just depends on you. It's a personal choice where you want to stand. You want to stand on that side where it says no, things have to stay the way they are. Are you more in the middle where say I can embrace the new changes within the Hmong community as well as I see what's nice about the old, or you're extremely progressive and you're like, hey, I want to change things up for the Hmong community.
Yeah.
Either way.
Or you're a reasonable person. You can go.
And you're in the middle. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you should be able to see
Yeah,
both
good
sides,
things
of
about
course.
both. Yeah.
That's what we try to always do is see both sides
Yeah.
because every person has an argument that is fair and just to
There's
them.
some validation.
Yeah,
in
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Because you need a little bit of both sides.
You need
know?
both sides. So regardless, and I don't even sweat about it as much. I just, like you said, like we're doing, I just try to push Hmong my way, how I can,
Yeah.
in my style,
Yeah.
and it is what it is.
we talk
And if
about
you're not
that.
happy about it, it is what it is.
Yeah,
It's
we
just,
talk
you
about
know,
that on the pod. It's like the best way to represent among people is just being
Just
you're
be
putting
you and
best
do
foot
your
forward,
thing, yeah.
Right, by being
Try your
the
best
best
and-
you can be, by being the best you can be, and me being the best Peng I could be. You know what really gets me upset is like when people try to enforce their Hmong onto you.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's-
It's like
I feel like
That's
we
like
all
the-
grew up in that though.
Yeah.
That's
But-
like a Hmong.
Yeah,
Like,
but you know, I think one of the things I could be completely wrong, but one of the things that I analyzed about that is it comes from a place of fear. It does, man. Go to China. You go to China. Like you fear that you'll lose it. So then there's that, you know, deflection where you're just
Yeah.
like, well, you're not Hmong enough, and blah blah blah. And it's like,
Yeah.
again, like we're saying, it's like, okay, so, but that's an identity issue. Like, I think that when people can settle in their identity and who they are, they don't have to flex it on people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yes. I agree.
You know, and that's one of the things I've learned. Like, so a lot of the commenters that go hard on us, I see it in like, oh, you're afraid because someone's challenging your worldview.
Wow.
And if you're not accepting all these worldviews, if you're not considering it, then you can't grow. You can't grow. And you change, right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to change. You have to grow for the better. Like, if at the end of the day, we say to all the Hmong people in the world, says, do you want to see our people succeed and move forward? The answer is yes. I guarantee you, 99.99% would say, yes, I want to see us.
Yeah.
How we choose to get there, there's going to be 9 billion different ways.
Many ways.
But the thing is, we're getting to the same, we want to get to the same location, right? The same point. It's okay. And then sometimes change is hard and people have fear. And how do they reflect or deflect that fear? It's usually saying, this is the way it should be done. You know, if you look at everything in this world, you know, if you look at, you know, let us go, like, if you look at like political stands or whatever, there's a sense of fear. It's like, you actually kind of want this, like both, like if you look at, you know, I just say like political sides, you actually want
both
the
want
same thing. You guys want the same thing. The way you get there, that's where you guys like bump heads a little bit, you know, but let's not forget what the point is here, you know? And so that's why when we get these comments and get these things, I just go, I get that you want the same thing. I get that you're, you know, that at the end of the day, truly, this is what you want. But you feel that I'm going the way that you don't want it to go. And out of that comes out this kind of this negative stuff that comes out of you. And it's like, how else to say it? It's not that I'm mad. I'm just sad for you.
Yeah.
I am. Like, you have to get beyond this. You know, like the most comments we get is, you know, this Hmong food isn't like Hmong village. You know, it's like, this isn't Hmong food. Don't put the name Hmong on this. This is MeatEater food. You know, and it's just like, okay, I get it, but like, in a semi-joking way, but seriously, it's like, who hurt you, man? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, who hurt you? Like,
no,
there's
true.
pain
you
there.
Got
like,
too much time.
Yeah.
You got too much time on your hand to even consider that.
But one of the things, and I said this at the MeatEater podcast, and I've really learned about this, is like, hurt people hurt people. When you're hurt, when you come from hurt, you know, like something in the family hurts you. And you have all that hurt pent up. There's no, like, what do you do? So you have to just let it go somewhere. So then the easiest thing, the most common thing, is to hurt somebody else. Because I'm like, I don't want all this hurt. So you don't mean to, but you hurt somebody else, hoping that they'll take that hurt away. And it's like, okay, now I don't. Do you know what I'm saying? And so that's the thing, though, man. Like, think about like Hmong weddings, huh? And think about how they do the blona and all that stuff and all. You know what that is? That is generational grudges that you get to pass down from family to family. That's such bull crap. Dude, it's like, this happened, your uncle did this to our aunt, blah, 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 at this time, like 50 years ago, and then, or whatever, and then it's like, oh, blah, and then it's like, oh, the dowry goes up. When does it stop, dude?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, when does it stop? Because all it is like, we were hurt, and to bring repercussion to that, we're going to hurt you now. And then what happens in that family? Well, next time we go to the next, you know, wedding, and then and it's just like, this doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It is, we carry each other's baggage and each other's pain, and we get to pass it on to the next one, pass it on. And I'm like, but it has to stop, you know, because what's going to happen? All this 18 clans, all of us, 18 of us, big 18 clan. Are we just going to do this all the time? Because, dang, dudes, you guys know that we already have enough issues with the world itself outside of the Hmong world. The last thing we need is to fight for scraps. You know? And so that's my thing, man. Like, I get it. As young people, we get to reboot this generation a little
absolutely.
bit. We get to reboot that. We get to recalibrate, you know? That like all three of us with, you know, it's different last name, different clans. We can sit here, we can talk, and we can be like, look, something happened with our fathers, something happened with our grandfathers, something happened with our great grandfathers, you know, something happened with them. And that sucks, and it hurts. But we get to restart over. You know, we get to build the world we want it to build. And didn't our fathers and forefathers fight for that.
Right.
You know, like they fought for it.
Fought
So that,
and died.
yeah,
you
man.
know? Yeah.
And so I get real frustrated when I hear that. And sometimes when people like, you know, throw crap on us, and I'm like, you gotta let that pain go, dude.
Yeah.
If you don't let it go and you just keep it, it's just in the 18 clans, it'll just keep circling, you know?
Yeah, that's beautifully said because like, yeah, like that's a big concern of mine too. Like, especially doing this podcast, we're putting out so much content.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy for somebody to come in and shit on us. And,
Yeah. But we know our value.
Yeah.
It's like when we talked with James, who's gonna be a psychologist soon, and we talked about values. It's like I think we have a pretty good understanding of our personal values, right? I mean, I know that I do, which is why I'm not afraid to speak and say, well, if you want to judge me on that, you can. I mean, and you will. I expect that you do, actually, because when I listen to other things, I usually have an opinion about what I hear as well. So I expected, but.
Yeah, I gotta sell a couple more lip balms before I start talking crazy.
No.
Make a little bit more money.
Crazy?
Yeah.
I think you gotta get as big as Joe Rogan before you can start saying whatever you want. Yeah.
But I don't really think it's crazy though. Like I think that again, I think like us three of us, we align.
Yeah.
You know, we are definitely all aligned. You know, and I think we might have different views of how we want to do things, but I think we're aligned. Where it's just like how do we preserve our culture, but then how do we progress our culture? So it's like how do you preserve it? How do you progress it?
We need to get a hard, conservative, Hmong-minded person in here because I need to be challenged in that sense.
I know a few of those guys. They still live in North Minneapolis. You know, throw the N-word around.
No, but
I
feel like it would be a good conversation to also be challenged in that sense.
But
but you have to be able to be open though too.
And I think that's the point where you guys do, where it's just like. Yeah, it has to be somebody who's willing. Like here, just to get people at the table and to sit and say, we're just having a conversation. Yeah. And it's not going to be like, we're going to get mad, kick it off and just walk away. No. Yeah. But just to be at the table, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that takes a lot of humbleness, right? Just people being humble. Like, I don't mind being wrong. I could be totally wrong. And somebody goes, hey, I'm going to challenge you on this. And I'm like, shoot, like I was totally wrong. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
You know, but the one thing that we have in our culture, you know, especially, you know, it's just that kind of male, you know, masculine, like I ain't wrong. Like, I'm the man of the house. You know what I'm saying? Like you do what I say. Like and it's just like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like we've seen you in your weak moments.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
We've had weak moments. You know, but the measure of a man is never about like how much authority he has. You know.
Yeah.
Like, it's respect, and it's done through our community. And when you're wrong, you do something wrong. You can, you know, open and say, shoot, I messed up.
I'm glad you say that because I hope that, and that's a big reason. So that's one thing. Mental health on the men's side, Asian is one thing, but it is about like the big idea that Ping and I started this podcast is like strong is a subjective term as well. Like if we're talking strong fucking bench pressing, that's strong with a number. We can statistically look at it, but strong also just means like, admitting you're wrong.
Right.
But we're in a culture where I feel, and we all feel, I'm sure, but me personally, I speak for myself, I feel like it's always been like the Hmong man is strong, is all this, and I actually think that's what, to me, is what caused me to have my own personal issues of thinking I have to be this strong until I finally just woke up and realized like, nah, it's all good, man. You can have weaknesses and you can admit to them. And actually, when you speak about them, more people who are also open to speaking about it, now you can join, and now you grow even stronger by admitting that you're weak in certain areas. But then in the Hmong community, we're not there yet, because we still have a lot of the old generation, and I'm not saying every OG is like that, but you know, and I think it will change. I think it's gonna change, but it just takes a minute for all that to happen, you know. And it starts with whoever's out there. Like I will say that it starts with us as well. To just, I'm not preaching on nobody, nothing. I'm just saying, like,
no, I get it, bro.
You know, there's weaknesses
and I think
that we all got.
I think one thing we're kind of dancing around too is just like this idea of masculinity and what that means in the Hmong culture, right? That's a huge topic, right? That's what everyone's kind of talking about, whether it's good or bad. Man, and at the end of the day, like, how do we redefine that? In a way that'll work for us, right? What are some things that have been problematic, and what are some things that can change? But also, what are some things that can work? What are some things that are beautiful about it? You know, one thing like I'm You know, I'm a pretty sensitive person, man. Saw the Barbie movie and I cried a little bit at the end. My wife looked at me a little crazy, but like I'm okay with showing that level of vulnerability because at the end of the day, I hold it down for my family.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I provide for
exactly.
my
You know
family.
what you're
I'm
doing, yeah.
like, I, to be vulnerable to that level doesn't make me any less of a man.
No, I
yeah,
get that.
yeah.
And Peng, you have like two
daughters.
Two daughters.
Two daughters, right?
Yeah.
So don't you want to set a good example of the dudes that they want to end up with,
Oh,
or
yeah.
the kinds of dudes that they
you-
want to marry,
paint
right?
a
Oh, yeah.
picture.
And don't you want to be a filter of the Playboy guys who are coming through that are going to try to sweeten them up with
Oh,
their
yeah.
words? Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But not in a degrading way to these men, but kind of going saying, hey, bro, like if they're like when your girls get to
Yeah.
that age where these dudes are coming around, you're like, hey, dude, like I need you to go like get yourself ready before if you're going to come through this because
Yeah.
like those are my girls,
Yep.
you know, and this is my house, you
Yep.
know, and in the same way that for you, there's a strong masculinity of like, I want to protect my family.
Yeah.
Dude, you know, I mean, like our fathers, you know, for me, my dad,
Yeah.
and I think about what they did is that's what they did.
Yep.
We're gonna protect our families. This is how we're gonna do it. This is what we know. So we pick up a
Exactly.
gun. We join the war.
Yeah.
We fought for this. I think that masculinity is one of those things where it's like it's a pendulum swing, right?
Yeah.
It swings
Yeah.
to one side, to the
Yep.
other side, to the one side. And what happens in masculinity and culture is it's like boom, boom. One side is like, no, but here, listen, this. And everybody goes to that side. But then suddenly there's this side going, but what about this? So then it swings all the way back.
Yeah.
And it's that pendulum swing. And I think that perfect in the middle too, you know, where I think that's where like I'm trying to gauge through. It's like I'm passionate about what I do and I'm passionate about what I love and, you know, that stuff. And I'll speak to you about it, you know. There are some dudes that are not as vocal about what they do, but they have things that they love. Like I want to tap into that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's not about brute force, right? So growing up, I was always a big kid, right? You guys were talking about that. I was always a big kid. I was always a real big kid. And you know, Hmong kids aren't really that big, so I always stood out really bad.
Yeah.
And I remember my brother used to always tell me that goes, "You're so big, like you're not like my real brother." Like, you know, kids are mean, you know, and stuff like that. I mean, like, I run to my grandma, I'm like, what? No, I'm not.
Yeah.
But you know, I was always a big kid. My father always said this to me. He goes, "You're a big kid, yeah. Like you're gonna be big. Your whole life you're gonna be big, and people are gonna look at you, and you're gonna be strong, and you're gonna have power. You know, people are gonna look at you just physically,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It's what you choose to do with that matters. You know." And he always said, like we grew up with one sister. He's always like, no matter what, I need you to always promise me that you will never hurt your sister, and you will always protect her.
Yeah.
And it was this thing that my father put inside me. You're going to be big and you're going to be strong and people are going to follow you, you know. But he's always said, but then he always said to me, he goes, but it's about how to harness that, right? And it was just this, as I grew up, like I always just felt like I always felt like I would hurt people. So I couldn't like be me, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like I got a chance to do like, you know, like full contact sport. And I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. This is so fun. You know, but then there was like this side, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That like I love that. Like it was naturally me, you know?
Yeah.
And then there was this side where it's like, well, I'm really passionate about what I do. I get excited. And then I would always be like, oh, well, you gotta hone it down, you know, because you know, you're a Hmong kid. You have to, you know, banana, you know, those are the things, you know, but then like when there's things that I was passionate about, I had teachers that would be like, look, you're passionate about this. Like, talk more about this. I'm like, no, you know, it's no big deal.
Right.
But I always learned that all this comes with responsibility. And that's what I really think masculinity is about. It's about responsibility.
Yes.
Everything you do,
Beautiful.
like there's a chain reaction from whatever you do. So if you want to be out there and be a big brute and says, like, you know, like, oh, ogre, I can do whatever, awesome. But there's a chain reaction that's going to come from that. But you accept responsibility and knowing, like I've done things where it's like, I work where I'm like, yeah, let's just do this, and I brewed it through, and it failed, and I come back to all the people who work for us, and I'm like, I'm sorry, like sending out emails, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
I messed up here, you know. Accepting responsibility, I think, is one of the biggest things when it comes to masculinity, you know, and I think that in the Hmong culture, you know, with our people, one of the things I've learned a lot about that is watching my father.
Yeah.
When he's wrong, he'll say, I'm wrong. I made a mistake. I'm wrong for doing this.
That's
know?
a hard one for Hmong OG, I feel like.
It is.
To say, to like, especially if you're at a table. Can you, I would love to, before
Yeah.
I die, to see
Yeah.
an OG table where I'm not included, where like I'm still young, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
you're
if
just
I'm
like a
yeah, I'm
fly
not,
on the
I'm not,
wall?
yeah, I'm not. It's not. It's yeah, I'm not there. But to just see an OG say to everybody, "Hey, look, everyone, I was wrong. It was my fault that all these happened." Like just admittance of I wouldn't even say even guilt, but just admittance of like
We all make
you
mistakes.
you
Yeah.
take
We
take
all make mistakes.
responsibility for some of the things
I
you
think
made
that
wrong
there's only a
calls.
safe place for that when there's acceptance for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Completely.
I don't know
So-
if we're
so, okay,
there.
so-
I don't know if
so-
we're there yet.
Well, yeah, yep. So
Yeah.
us three, right? We're buddies. I did something, I mess up something, to wrong you guys. I feel that I can say, hey, dudes,
Yeah, right.
I effed up here. I'm so sorry, guys. Like,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
wrong. I can only say that when you guys
When you
have,
feel
like,
like it's the
feel like,
same,
hey,
yeah.
man, it's cool.
Reciprocal. Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But again, there's all these little components, right?
Yeah.
Where we have to start. And sometimes, dude, I've learned that going in and saying you're wrong, it's like walking in and like knowing that you can get kicked in the nuts. I don't know what you're gonna say back. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could be like, two could be like, no, screw you, man. You are wrong. Yeah, you
Yeah.
remember how wrong you are.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Or
That is an angle for
yeah,
sure.
and that's why I think some of the OGs are like "Sapong Jimona."
Yeah.
So that's why they hold so strong to it. And that comes from fear, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
you hold
yeah.
so strong
Yeah,
to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You're like, I have
You're
to be
afraid
right.
of the
Even though I'm
judgment,
wrong,
yeah.
I have to be right.
Yeah.
And it has to be that little give and take and give and take. And
Yes.
I gotta say, man, like us, like guys like us, we get to reboot that.
Oh, yeah.
We get to talk about, and I'm pretty sure for you too, like when you mess up as dad, you get to go to your daughters and say, hey, daddy was wrong. I'm so sorry, girls. Like daddy was wrong.
yeah.
But like how great is that for them to see that, dude?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like for them to know, like, my dad's my hero. I love him, and he
Yeah.
can be wrong sometimes, but then he still comes back and makes it right with me.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Like that kind of stuff. You raise young women growing up, and they're not looking for some stupid dude who's just like trying to say all these sweet things. And goes,
Right.
well, why would I have that? Because my dad, who's an example of what a good man is in my
Yeah.
life, explains this to me. He loves
Yeah.
me. He cares about me, and even when he's wrong, he comes for me.
Right.
So, dude, man, like imagine that, dude. Like, as like daughters who are growing up,
Oh,
saying like,
yeah.
you guys can't pull one over on me because like I got an awesome dad.
Yeah.
It
It is the best part about
Yeah.
being a dad for sure. Like, I talked earlier about how do you teach these things that are kind of like character values, right? But yeah, it's me and my wife, we have this discussion a lot. It's just kind of leading by example,
Yeah.
and it sounds corny to say, but then it's just like modeling that good behavior
Yeah,
that you want
absolutely.
you want them to see. And so anytime when we're wrong, we make sure we sit down
Yeah.
and talk with our daughters and let them know, hey, this is why this happened. Even the example when we talked with Alan when he came on, where it's just
Dude,
like,
great dude, by the way.
Oh,
Alan.
do you know
Oh,
Alan?
yeah.
Yeah, he's
Awesome, man.
he's-
Him and his wife, they're so super
yeah,
sweet.
yeah, super cool, super amazing people. Yeah, so then, to hear him talk about parenting, to take a step back, and because a lot of times they just want to know the why, and just to be able to explain to them, like, hey, this is why X, Y, and Z happened. Like, it means a lot to them.
Yeah.
Because you never, the easy route is to yell at them, is to do the authoritative parenting where we go, listen to me because
I'm your parent.
dad.
Yeah.
And and that's how we were raised. But then I'm very forgiving of my parents for that because that's
They
all
didn't know
knew.
any better,
They
dude.
They didn't know
Yeah.
any better.
Like that's the one thing I've learned is like I'm not a parent or anything, but I watch my sister and my brother-in-law and how they do it, and some of my siblings, and it's one of the things, if you really think about this, our parents didn't know any better.
Yeah.
They were about surviving.
Yep.
Yeah.
And out of fear
For sure.
of like losing us, it came out as just more gay, more
Yep.
high,
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's what progression is, right?
Yep.
You learn from that, and you're saying, hey, but I want to raise our children different,
Yeah.
but still with the values.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if you think about how our parents, they would like just scold us, there's values in there.
Yeah.
Now, the way they communicated it wasn't the best.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah,
the best.
like, we'll just be honest about
Yeah,
that,
it
right?
wasn't the
Yeah, yeah.
best.
But the values are there. Why?
Yes.
Because they want to protect you. They
Yeah.
love you, but they don't know how to explain that. All you have is, like, for me, my parents, like, they came from genocide and war. They didn't have a book on how to raise children in a refugee camp.
Right.
Like, like 4 steps of raising a good kid in a refugee. They didn't have that. It was, we survive. We got to get our children to America so they can live.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And they had the best, they did the best with what they had, right?
Yeah.
We get to learn from that. So they pushed us to a low point.
Oh, yeah.
We are the educated ones, huh? We are the ones who can talk about things like mental health.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are the ones that can talk about, hey, what's, the sensitivity in the soul and doing these things.
Yeah.
Like,
That's why we can't blame them, yeah.
Think about this. Like, our parents, like my parents, I'm thinking from my parents, they didn't have a job because it was their passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that, dude. When my dad worked as a carpenter, a welder, he built home.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, I want to build home because it's a great passion of mine. No.
Yeah.
It freaking paid him $15 an hour. That's why
Yeah.
he did it. And you know why? Because we needed food on the table.
Yeah.
My mom didn't work in a cheese factory because she's like, I am passionate about cheese.
Right.
And worked on a cheese line. No. She did it because it was $10 an hour and she had to take the second shift. Mm-hmm. They never, they didn't do what they did with the passion. They did what they did because they said that everything we're doing is you guys.
Yeah.
We got a chance to it. We went to school. We went to college. We did all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And now, like, how do we honor that?
Yeah.
For you as a dad, you honor that by, living that life as, this good man who gets to teach your daughters.
Yep.
Who gets to be a part of their life, and you can look back. And I think this is the healing part, right?
Oh, yeah.
You can look back to your parents and saying, like, I don't even want to say I forgive them, but more like, I get it. I'm not mad at that anymore.
Yeah,
I look back at my parents and the way that, they're not perfect. I don't go back and go, oh, so angry. No, I get it.
Yeah.
They had what they had. They had to do what they had to do. I'm not mad at that. I only see the good things. I see the values now.
Right.
And then Lord willing, one day I can pass that down too. And I see you doing that. You were just talking about that. I'm like, that's amazing. That's what we call progression.
Yep.
That's what we call moving forward.
Yeah.
But while you're doing that, you're still instilling the Hmong values into them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's why we're out on the farm now. Got them killing chickens and milking goats.
Yeah.
One thing, that I really resonated with you and your story too, is like your work ethic. I'm not, the reason why things didn't work out for me in those career fields is like, I'm not a smart guy. Like I'm not some book smart dude. Like but if you give me a hammer and you tell me to swing it for the next 24 hours, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean,
and
you
I'll
did
do
that,
it longer
you did
than
that with
anybody
your
else.
bodybuilding days.
Yeah. And
You
so
were-
like that's what I'm good at, is like I can just
Yeah.
outwork anybody. And so like you talked about like your earlier days of your in the restaurant business, right? Was it peeling onions you used as an example? Peeling 1,000
potatoes.
onions?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that because when I heard that, I was just like, man, like that is the year I want to know.
Yeah,
Like that's the story. Like that's the story that I wish everyone can hear. But like it took a little digging into like some of the podcasts to hear that, and I absolutely love that, man. And I think so many people can resonate with that too. Like the fact that you're a grinder, man. I love that so much. But like in their earlier days, we talked about trial and error. Did you hit a lot of stumps and roadblocks? Like, can you talk about that a little bit? Or?
Definitely. I thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think that for me, that work ethic was like ingrained in me, but it wasn't like right away. I was like, oh yeah, let's go grind it out. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, I was still like this young kid who's like, what's the hack for this? What's the easiest way? And I think that it wasn't until like my late 20s I learned where I'm like, sometimes you just gotta freaking work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no like how you're like swinging the hammer for 24 hours. It's like, how could I most efficiently swing this hammer for 24 hours but not actually have to pick up the hammer? It's like, no, bro, the hammer's got to be picked up by you. And so it wasn't until my late 20s that I figured that out. I think that the other thing too was just like there was like I was working from a place of redemption where it's like I realized how much I wasted away my 20s, and I was trying to make it up. And I'm really honest with people about this. The whole thing with food and restaurant and working hard in restaurant. If I was really, really honest, like, yes, I have work ethic. Yes, it comes from mom and dad. Yes, it comes from all this stuff. But the truth of the matter is, there's a part of me that I feel like I failed them, not being that kid who was good at school, not being that kid who like could get a good job right up. I feel like I failed them, and that felt like Zota dieta omana is all I knew how to do. And so it was a sense of, I want to work my way back into their good graces again. The funny thing, bro, is like, I was never gone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They never said, oh, you know, they never said anything like that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was never there.
Yeah.
Like okay, your father, right? You got 2 daughters, right? And like, you never have ever told your daughters, or you never think about this, going saying, hey, girls, for me to love you more, you have to be like this.
Yeah.
Not absolutely, not at all. Moment they were born, the moment you held them, the moment you kissed them, you're like, I love you. I love you. It's maxed, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And so I worked hoping that I can make them proud by being honorable to them.
Yeah.
And I just said, I'm going to keep doing this. That's why, like, for a long time, like, they didn't know really what I did. They're like, oh, yeah, I think he has a restaurant, or I think he cooks. It wasn't until, for me, my father, we were doing this event, and the lieutenant governor was there and gave me this award, and we were, you know, cooking this event, and my mom and dad was there, and they were cooking for it too. And I think later on, my mom told me that my dad, after that, they went home, and my dad was just like, my dad said something along the lines of like, I would never imagine in a world where my son would speak to leaders and they would listen to him.
Yeah.
And it was this aha moment. I think my dad said to my mom, was like, I think my dad said something along the lines of like, I think that we're so sorry that we didn't see what Ia does. And it was this moment where it like changed me, right? And I was just like, yeah, I think that I've been trying to be like, Dad, look, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like mom, look. And that's why I worked really hard at it. I mean, but that work ethic came from my mom and dad, right? No doubt. But I really realized that it was so freeing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It was so freeing to be like, I want to work my way back into your graces, and it wasn't anymore. It was not about that, dude.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I love now, like, being with my parents, hanging out with my parents, talking with them. That's what I love. My mom is at the restaurant a lot, and my aunt with Taipona, they're all constantly doing stuff there. You know, that, hey, we want to do this, or we want to do this. We have this idea. You know, like our kalapaos at the state fair like went so well that now people are calling my mom for special orders that they can do.
Beautiful.
So it's like this thing where they feel like, hey, like we get to be a part of this, you know. And so I will admit, like, there is this like work ethic thing in there. I didn't know where it came from, but when I realized where it came from, it only encourages me more. And this is to all the Hmong kids out there who feel like I failed my parents and I need to work my way back to them. Like, you don't. They love you. They love you, man. They love you the day you were born.
Yeah.
And their love for you is not conditional on stuff you can do.
Yeah.
So if you hold on to that, you will stop trying to perform.
Yeah.
And for me, that was the most freeing thing, man.
I feel that so much, like, because, you know, we talked about this idea of, like, what success was. And I thought that's what my parents want me to do, was to go to college, go to school, and get this job. And so I stuck with it. And I was so unhappy, but I thought that's how I was going to make my mother proud of me. But truly, when I left and started the farm, made a decision for myself for my own happiness and for my own sanity, that's when she was truly happy for me. She passed like shortly afterwards, but then she got to come onto the property.
That's
and she
awesome,
got to
brother.
kind of see the vision a little bit, and she was genuinely happy for me there, man. And I thought this was gonna be a mistake, you know, like coming out here and doing this stuff. And I thought she might be like, "Yo, why would you leave this job?" But genuinely, like, she was like so happy for me. Like, she saw like how hard I worked in those offices and in those space, and then like. And I thought I was doing that for her. Yeah. But in reality, I think she just wanted me to be happy and to make a decision for myself. Yeah. And then,
And I also learned, too, that when my parents were, like, hard on me about making sure I do school well, making sure I get a good job, it wasn't because they wanted me to do this so that they'll look better. No. It was because they're like, like when one day when we pass, we want to make sure that you're taken care of.
Yeah.
Again, if I get out of my own head and if I'm quiet, I humble myself and I listen closely, that's what they're saying. I get that now. You know, right away, my mom and dad didn't want me to cook, and I just felt like, whatever, like, okay, I'm never going to amount to anything, right? But when I heard what they were really saying is, you know, my dad says it, and I always tell this story, is my dad always say, when we first started cooking, my dad was like, we came to America so that you can, you know, you can work in these offices and sign checks. You know, I told the story in MeatEater. Yeah. And I get really emotional about it. And my dad would say, my hands and my knees are here to be broken so that you don't have to do it. And I never understood that, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what, you don't want me to cook? Whatever, I don't care, right? But I was too into my own stuff.
Yeah.
And then I remember we got done working this big like grill out area, and my hand was all sooted up, like cleaning the grill. It was all sooted up. I was tired. You know, I smell like, you know, smoke. I feel, you know, I'm just tired. I'm beat. And I got home, and I just sat there, and I just like, I couldn't even like get up to go to the shower. I was just sitting in a chair, and I just thought to myself, this is the closest I feel to being my father. Like, this is the closest. Like, I want to be my dad. I want to be like my dad. He's my hero. And he always says, I don't want your hands to be like mine. And all I'm saying is, I want to be exactly like you, man. Like, everything about you I want to be. Everything that's good about you. That's like part of me. And I remember I was sitting there, and I looked at my hands, and I felt like, man, like, my dad always said, you know, I'm dumb. I don't know anything. Like we're dumb. Like I need you to be better in this because you can't be like me. And all I say goes, I am you. Yeah. Everything about me is you. Yeah. You know, and as I look at my hands, and for me, that's like one of the biggest things, man. Like, when I feel lost and I feel like we got to make all these decisions, there's all these things going on, I just want to get back into the kitchen and I want to grill. And you know why? Because it just brings me back to being like, okay, like it focuses me on like my father, you know, focuses on me on my dad. Oh yeah. And that, dude, that's just me, man. Like all this stuff, TV, whatever, blah, 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 all this stuff. It's all like, compared to being like dad, all of that stuff is BS. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm appreciative of it. But if you're going to compare that, you're going to put down like the value of like, well, I want to be like my father. I want to be a good man like him. Yeah. You know, I want to love well like him. I want to be a good father like him one day. I want to be a good husband like him one day, you know? Yeah. Dad is my example, dude. And he works hard. Still today, he's retired, but he's like no stop. You know what I'm saying? Like we have Hmong dads, like no stop. And dude, man, that's for me. Like, and that's why I love what I do it. That's why like at all the restaurants we have, it's always like we have to have a grilling component to it. Right. Because that's his legacy, man. Yeah. That's him. Yeah. You know, all the uncles outside, you know, our new restaurant Vinai, like we're paying it a little more so we can have a different hood, so then we can put a solid fuel wood grill in there. Yeah. Is it going to be an additional $25,000? Yeah. Yeah. Like, is it a game changer? Yeah. Like the whole thing of Vinai as this love letter to my mom and dad with this restaurant, right? It's based on like when you walk in, I want you to smell the wood. Yeah. I want you to smell like I want you to hear the sizzle of yangai kikina. I want you to smell as that smoke, as that fat drips and hits that wood and goes tss, and goes up. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I want you to, when you walk in there, you're thinking backyard, my uncle or my aunt's barbecue at their backyard grilling at the Hmong party. I want you to think about that.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because just that last part. Yeah. Because that explains a lot to me, actually, when you say that, like that backyard grill, all that stuff. Because it doesn't matter what the plate is in front of me or how the plate looks and all that, but you're right. When you go to your uncle's house, I hear beer open and I hear meat cooking on the grill.
And that smoke in the back. Yeah. And I think, you know, like even think about the word Vinai. Like a lot of people, like besides the Hmong community, they're like, what's Vinai? What's a Vinai? Like, why that name? And we get to tell that story. Yep. We get to talk about that story. We get to say that, did you know that the majority of the people, Hmong refugees there came from that place? Right. We get to talk about it. And the word Vinai becomes a common word in the vernacular that we use in our everyday word. Yep. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a reason why our menu, we would put Hmong words on it. Ngai literally, grilled meats. Yeah. But we need to tell our younger generation, this is our language. Yeah. And we don't compromise that. Like, we could have said, for steak, we could be, steam buns. But no, we call it kalabao. Why? Yeah, we call it kalabao. It's our kalabao. And we got people,
now they're introduced to it, right?
And it's like, no, please come into our world. By what? Yeah. It starts with food and language. That's how you change things. It's food and language. And so, like, kwotsa, why is it called kwotsa? Yeah. And sometimes it's hard for them to pronounce kwotsa. We could call it pepper sauce. We could call it whatever. Yeah. But why is it called kwotsa? Because I want the Mika people to say kwotsa. And even if the pronunciation is off, kwotsa, we'll work with you, you know?
Think how much Hmong is spread through just that word. Yeah. If the general populace started using the word kwotsa, you'd be like, Kwotsa? You mean like the Hmong pepper kwotsa? Yeah. Yep. Where'd you learn that? Oh, dude, I get this place all the time that they sell kwotsa.
Yep. You know? And then like the other one is our at Union Hmong Kitchen, our meal that you put together is called the Zhongxie meal, happy meal.
Yeah.
But we have the phonetic spelling under it, so they say
Yeah, so you can pronounce it,
Zhongxie, like Zhongxie means happy, or teaching even some of our staff how to say Yajong or Ma, we're talking about Ma, Konong, there's another one that we want to do instead of saying like small bites, we should say Konong.
Yeah.
And doing all these things, like one of them is like Zhao, we'll say Zhao, it's like our vegetable section, Why are we doing this? Because you know how cool it is that like I was once told that at the state fair, because we put Hmong words on our menu, that like they said they walked up and they looked at it and they're like, oh, I can read that.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying though, dude? Like some of the older generation, they look up and they go, Ngai. Oh, that section is Ngai.
Yeah.
Oh, Hmong sausage, chicken, whatever. And even putting like Ngai Boa, Ngai Kai. Like it's very simple, basic. But the OGs can look and goes, that's our language.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we can be like, I'm not trying to be cocky, but we can be in the state fair. Our people have a place in the state fair, and it's our language is on there, and we don't have to be apologetic about it.
Yep.
Where most of the kids that work for us are Mika, and they're using Hmong words.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That,
so like that's like we get to change that. We get to change how the world looks at that.
And I love what you said about come into our world.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, because that's awesome. Like, it is about introducing, one, like, not just telling them who we are, but, like, truly taking them into our world and including them into our day-to-day and introducing them to our day-to-day. So I love that, man. You got anything? Otherwise, we do this.
It's a good conversation. It's good. We're going on almost 2 hours.
Oh, shoot.
It's a
You
good
guys are
conversation.
doing the Rogan thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Time
It's
flies.
good.
Time
No,
flies.
bro,
Like,
I'm
we
fine,
covered
man.
we covered a lot of good topics.
Yeah.
No, I
We
don't
do
have
this
too
one
much.
thing called Hmong. Are you familiar with Hmong Anonymous?
No, what's Hmong Anonymous?
Oh, okay.
This
It's
is like
it's part of the Hmong Facebook thing.
Yes!
Where it's like where they post anonymous posts about like what's going on with their lives, and we read it and then we react. And
Okay, let's
and
do it.
Sometimes give like advice, sometimes bad advice, sometimes.
So
good
Hmong
advice.
Anonymous is a platform. They just write stuff.
And it's usually posted as an anonymous person, and we don't know if it's mostly fictional or real. It's probably a hybrid of both.
There's some
But
crazy
we
stuff that
sometimes
goes
pick
up there.
one at the end of our podcast and just read through it, and then we just
You
openly
guys ever heard of
talk
Hmong
about it.
tea?
Yes.
Dude,
Hmong tea's
that's
a little
a
bit.
thing
It's a
now.
little more
What
savage.
is Hmong tea? Because there's a story about me on there, which is like totally made up.
Yeah,
Hmong tea is kind of like
gossip.
it's kind of
According
it's
to my
just-
wife, tea just means gossip.
Dude, I need to
and
talk to
then
your
they
wife so you
adopt
give me
that.
that. So
Yeah.
I had a cousin who just like apparently on Hmong tea there was like a story about me and something like that, and she like screenshot sent and goes, "You made it, yeah." You're on Hmong tea. I'm like, I don't even know what this
Man.
is.
I haven't made it
Dude,
then.
that's what I need for my business.
Yeah.
I need some kind of crazy controversy, man. Like
Yeah.
to end up on Hmong tea, have gorilla patches on Hmong tea. Hey,
Yeah.
Hmong tea, man, shout me out, dude. Give me a shout out. You guys can make up whatever crazy story you guys want about me, man. Whatever. Just put me on.
I have no idea what it was. I'm like, and my cousin Julie sent me. I'm like, Julie, what the frick is this? And I started reading. I'm like, why is my name on there? What's going on? Yeah.
It is. It
Somebody-
is Hmong Facebook times 1,000.
Yeah. And what was the one thing like
Even more
somebody
savage.
somebody said to me that said basically it's like Hmong, it's like you can't really believe it. It's like Hmong fan fiction almost. Like they kind of make up stories, and I was like, what?
So I
Yeah.
need you guys. I need you guys to come visit the farm, make up some crazy story about me. I need some
It's like
controversy.
they keep people here.
they
They have places where they keep people here.
He makes his kids
people got too much
work,
time
you
on their
know,
hands.
Yeah.
child labor laws, whatever. All right, so I'm gonna read this. Excuse my reading. I do read at a second grade level. All right,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
part
dude.
of the reason why I didn't
I
make
understand
it in the
at second
office.
grade level,
Okay.
dude.
Okay, so this is a short one. We've been having some crazy long ones, so we're gonna shorten this one. Hmong Anonymous, where are y'all finding men who actually want to settle down? I'm 27. I'm ready to find my person. I've tried apps uncomfortably. All of my friends tell me they don't know any viable single men for me either. I see other people having no problems getting into relationships, getting engaged, married. So someone please tell me where they are finding their Hmong men. It's exhausting out here. All right.
Sounds
we got
like
one right here.
Whoa!
Look at that.
Stop.
No.
You sound like my mom now. No. Oh, are you guys answering this or just me?
Oh,
we
everybody,
can-
everybody.
okay.
Where can
We actually take turns.
See,
and
You know, it's
Here's-
funny.
here's
Like the moment you start saying, "Babe," but we're all like, someone we're like, "Oh,
yeah,
boy."
it is tough. It is tough.
I'm gonna call it a you problem.
I'm gonna
That's
say
all I'm
this
gonna
too.
say.
You might all the Hmong men are good Hmong men are taken. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's-
you know what?
There's tools right here that are
See,
taken.
this is tough because like we're not like single. Like I've married my high school sweetheart.
Yeah, we've been married
and
almost 8
then
years.
so like I'm out of the dating game. So I don't know where like the young people are like
Yeah, I don't know where all that
confining
is.
anymore. You
The
know.
bars, I mean, that's
But
where we
is
used
a
to
bar-
go, right? The bar, I mean,
What I would say to this young lady is, where are you looking?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
Where are
that's
you
huge.
searching?
That's huge.
No knock on certain Hmong establishments, but like,
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
going to those places?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
where you
yeah.
searching?
you guys and I are all thinking the same
Yeah.
places.
Yeah.
You know, who are you surrounding yourself with? You know, who
That's
are you
huge.
surrounding yourself with, especially with your friends group? You know, who are the people that you are committing your time to? You know, I would say
Right.
that. And I think that the other thing too is like, you know, yeah, it is. I will admit that there's some young dudes out there that I want to smack in the head and be like, you
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah.
What the frick are you doing, man? You know, because like these like 20-year-old dudes, like, you know who's watching you? The 15-year-old kids, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the ones that are going to be watching you. They're the ones that are going to be talking the way you talk. You know, like they're the ones that are going to. Now, I get so frustrated sometimes because it's like they're going to be the ones that are going to, you know, be married, you know, by like 25 and then be like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to sit in the basement, play video games, and do whatever. And my wife's going to be out there working 3 jobs to keep us going, you know, in our parents' basement. Like,
Yeah. You know
of course,
a couple guys like that.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, fight, dude. Get
Yeah.
up. Go. You know, because it's like, I always say this to young Hmong dudes. It's like, do you know where our lineage in our history comes from? Do you know that the men in like the historical value of who Hmong men are? Like when the CIA came to the mountains of Laos to look for fighters, you know what they went? They went to the mountains of Laos because there's this CIA report that I was told that there are 2 reasons why they knew that the Hmong people were great fighters, or 3.
Right.
1, they knew the mountains because they lived there. 2, their cardio, like they were out in the mountains so they could keep running for days without stopping. And 3, it was because that they had a determined heart that never knew how to quit fighting.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, that's the blood that flows through your vein.
Right.
That was and so that's like to the young Hmong kids, like the boys especially. That's what I want to tell them. To this young lady, I would say, gauge that, dude. Like, you,
Yeah.
if you just go with the status quo, and see these, you know, little, you know, these boys, I call them,
Yeah.
these boys that can shave.
Yeah.
If all you see is these guys, and you're like, well, you know, like, homeboy always breaks my heart, and he's got this three girls, and da 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 da.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you think is gonna keep happening? You know, like, remove yourself from that. You know, and that is like
Right.
my biggest thing.
Yeah, and then also like to this lady, like, what are you doing? Like, what are your hobbies? Because like, I mean, maybe going out to the bar isn't the best place to find a significant other, right? But if you can find somebody, you know, if you like going to the gym or you like doing whatever, finding somebody there that also enjoys doing the same thing you're doing, that might be a starting point, you know. And so changing those places where you're finding these men.
And sometimes just listen to your mom and dad.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, man.
Yeah, I've seen it work.
Before
I've
Hinge
seen
and
it
Bumble
work.
and all that other
Yeah.
stuff, before eHarmony, there was Hmong Harmony, dude.
Yeah.
And bro, sometimes you just gotta go old school.
Yeah.
I remind myself of this. You just gotta listen to mom and dad too, man. Like, cause it's like they're looking out for you. I feel like an OG saying that,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And they know
sometimes-
you.
They know
They've
you,
seen you for 30 years of your life.
Yeah,
like, they know you. Yeah,
Yeah,
they got a good
sometimes
gauge.
you just gotta
Yeah.
listen to mom and dad a little bit and be open to that, you know?
Yeah. What
Yeah,
about
'cause-
you two? Where can we find
Where
these
c-
Hmong studs out here?
Where the Hmong studs
Where are your
Man,
friends hanging out,
I
man?
don't
Where
know,
where
man.
are you out?
Two's like,
At the car shows.
Yeah,
Tons.
Hey,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
that-
okay.
Two,
I'm
you
just
also
kidding.
know that the car show is probably not the best.
No, that's probably not the best. No, I mean, that's a tough question. You know, I've been married for a while. I don't know what the scene out there
Yeah,
looks
what
like.
the kids are all doing.
Yeah, I don't know where people hang out, but I think it's.
Where are your cool single
it-
friends hanging out?
It's like they're working for
Oh
me.
man, I'm not that. yeah, I'm not that young anymore.
Yeah, come to Yellow Auto Shop,
No,
guys.
I think like honestly though, the real thing is like to search. I don't know. What you can control though is like the yourself and doing things for yourself and being the best version of yourself. And I think that like as long as you're doing those things, you're gonna eventually cross. I know that the question is where. That's a hard question to answer, but I think that if you do everything,
Whole Foods, you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
It can be,
there you
yeah,
go.
It's anywhere.
Joe's.
It's anywhere other than just your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have some cousins who just stay home and they're
Yeah.
like, I can't find no girl. I'm like, well, dude, it
It's
ain't
like,
gonna
bro,
be
you want a
at-
sandwich, you got to go out there
it
and
ain't
get
gonna
it,
be
you know?
at your house. I'll tell
But
you that much.
I will also say too this, and again, the where, I don't know how to say this, and I'm not trying to mansplain anything, but I was just say too is like your girlfriends that are married, you know,
Yeah.
they like listen to them because
Yeah.
they're married.
Yep.
They've been in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're gonna tell you like this is the character you look for. These are
Yeah.
this is the kind of dudes you look for.
Yeah.
You know, because you might have some like hotshot dude where it's like, man, like he's so fun, he's so out there, he's like all tatted up and he's so cool looking. You know?
Yeah.
He's so cool looking. He's BA, like he like blah blah blah. But it's like your female friends, your girlfriends that are married, and go, all that crap doesn't matter when it comes to marriage.
Yeah.
All that
Who's
crap
the
doesn't
human
matter when it comes to it's your ride or die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you guys are both married. You get it. You know where it's like when times are hard. Is this somebody who's gonna say, "Hey, it's just me and you, babe. Like we're doing this." You know, when you buy a farm, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, it's kind of crazy, dude. Why did you buy a farm?" And you say, you and your wife going, "It's us against the world."
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
your married friends, married female friends to this young lady, they're gonna help you find that.
Yeah.
And you can glean and listen from them, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
love it.
All
So
right.
the last
out
thing,
the-
the last thing, is we always ask is,
No.
where do we find you?
Oh, yeah.
Where do we
Yes.
find your businesses? You
restaurant?
yourself,
New
new restaurant.
Yeah, so we have 2 locations for Union Hmong Kitchen. One's in Gray's Food Hall, out kind of right by Target Field in Minneapolis. The other one's in Uptown on Lake and Bryant. We have 2 locations for that. We have little spots in if you ever on Target Field watching the Twins game, we have a little place there. If you go to a Vikings game, we have a little place there. Which we do food a little differently in the Vikings game.
Yeah.
So it's really, really fun. We have VNI, which will probably be this summer. You know, we were still...
Okay.
Summer 24,
Yep,
yeah.
summer 2024.
That's
A
the
lot-
one in Northeast Minneapolis.
Yep, this is one in Northeast Minneapolis. And then if you follow us on social media at Union Hmong Kitchen or at He'll Try MN, you will get updates on different pop-ups, different things that we're doing. Like we're having one of my buddies, he's Laotian, his name's Bobby, come in. We're doing a big dinner with him in about 3 weeks here and stuff like that. So we have all these little things that we're all kind of like going to different things, different events, you know, just, you know, but also our, you know, if you want to just come in, grab lunch, grab dinner, Union Hmong Kitchen is where it's at.
Oh yeah, man. Well,
Definitely do
we're
Thank you.
proud I'm proud of everything that you're doing, all your success, and I'm sure it's just getting started, just getting heated up, and most importantly, thank you, especially on our part, to spend 2 hours of your time sitting here across our faces.
No, I love it, dude.
So-
Like I don't get, you know, like look, to be completely honest, like it's just like work. You guys get it,
Yeah.
you know. But like to sit down with a bunch of dudes, especially Hmong dudes, who are kind of like, hey,
It doesn't seem to happen too much.
yeah,
huh,
like
when you have
Hmong
conversations
dude,
like this
especially
with
in the
Hmong
same
guys.
kind of
Yeah,
grind,
yeah.
you know, to do that,
That's
man.
kinda
Like
rare.
to me, man, it's like I was like, it's an honor, you know, to get a message from you guys, and it's an honor to be here and just to be able to talk about it and say, hey, man, these are the things I'm feeling with, and then we've talked about it before, you know, and you know, but it's just like, oh, dude, I feel the same way. So it's like, okay,
it's a
so I'm like,
grind.
I'm not off, you know, like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like I'm feeling alone as a Hmong dude in this world is tough, man. But no, realize like, okay, struggle's real. We're all doing it together, you know, and so that's one of the greatest things, and so it's a super great honor on my side to be here, man.
All right.
Thank you so
Sounds
much.
Thanks a lot,
good.
boys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Till the next one, guys.